This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
Welcome back, guys, to see some more Red Pill misinformation. We got you all here today for another episode of Access Vegas. The Super Bowl is here, so not only does every thought in North America come to Las Vegas, but also these incredible content creators are here. So we're going to introduce them right now. My man Walter Weeks, straight out of Miami. Welcome.
Back in Vegas, man. I love it here.
Jake Shills is in the house, man. He's going to teach us how to do a reverse armbar here in a second. We're going to get that thing going. Mr. Rollo Tomasi is in the house. That's correct,
cleaned
man.
all the mud off of my boots this
There
morning.
we go, and we're on a direct from a government watch list. Good to have you here.
Thank you, yes.
Mr. Aaron Clary, your favorite economist, is on here. Awesome, very, very good. Mr. Myron Gaines is in the place right now. The author of Fit-FreshandFit, that's correct, and the owner of 27 homes somewhere in the Northeast, something like that. And Mr. Marquette, the Saint and the Sinner, has joined us here. So glad to have you here. Terrific, man. Glad to have everybody in the house today. So you guys are here. We open a roundtable. We thought we'd have a roundtable discussion. We didn't let the ladies come today because they're all getting paid $3,000 to go do weird shit.
Thank God.
So we decided to just have the gentlemen here today. We don't get paid that much money to do stuff, so we're all going to go to a bunch of parties. Anyway, what do you guys?
We can get a word in edgewise today.
I'm excited to be here. Last minute additions. Shout out to Jake Shields and Marquette for coming last minute.
Yeah.
Aaron Clary as well, and coming on the pod because originally it was just going to be just us four, and I was like, you know what, man, we're in Vegas. Let's see if we could do something special for the people. Obviously, I love Jake Shields' tweets on X. Me and him go back and forth with these fucking crazy fucks on there. Obviously, Marquette with the Marquettism. Shout out to the Saints. And man, I'm just happy that we're all here in Vegas, and you guys can get some of this game from all these individuals at this table, man.
Right.
So I'm just here to.
So it's the weekend, Super Bowl weekend.
I haven't even slept yet. I'm wearing the same clothes from last night's show. By the
We
way.
streamed Overwatch for 6 hours.
Yeah.
After our stream, there's a lot.
Yeah, we did our after-hour stream. We streamed some video games. Then we didn't sleep. Just jumped on a plane, came over here. We met with Chris from Rumble and Sneeko and hung out with them. And now we're here doing the pod. I haven't slept yet. I'm fucking delirious, but it's awesome.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Hey, let's get you in a cold plunge later, and we'll stream that.
I'll probably die.
No, you want to try?
But we could try.
Wake you, trust me, you won't be delirious. You'll be woke.
But I guess does anyone you got?
Let's talk about RP, I guess.
We
space
can?
itself, I guess.
Or does anyone introduction? Man, people know who people are, right?
I was going to say is
you don't know who these guys are at the table.
I started when we started talking about this about 2 weeks ago, and I think it was because Justin Waller was wanting to put together a show with you, me, Justin Waller, and everybody else. We wanted to talk about really kind of this moralism that's sort of coming at the red pill recently, and I just want to point out right before we get rolling here is that I put out the call on Twitter saying if you want to show up, you know where it is. Right? I said this is where Sticky. Probably George was pissed off at me for doing that.
Rollo, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
Just show up here.
Public?
There's a bunch of black vans outside. Can we lock the front door,
I know.
please?
It's not that I don't have NGOs in the DHS after me already.
Yes,
but but I put out a call and for Chase from whatever podcast and anybody else who wanted a piece. I'm like, you know where it is.
Wanted a piece.
Yeah, come and get it, right? And of course, nobody wants to do that. So, and that was just sort of proof of concept because we were bouncing around the idea of having sort of like I think it was me and you and Mike and Justin on one side of the table, and then like I know Chase and Lila Rose and some of these other people who are just sort of come ups in the space right now. And it's like the 90% of the shit that comes out of their mouths is just ignorance. It's like they just don't know what they're talking about. And so my biggest gripe, and if you ever see me type in all caps, there's only one thing that makes me type in all caps. It's when people start saying those red pill guys say X, Y, and Z. I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about?
So
Who?
those red pill guys,
this guy, anybody at this table, like put a fucking name on your Twitter.
Well, they don't want to do that.
Please tell me who you think is saying this.
Because they can't keep quoting Pearl Davis, so they can't do that.
Exactly.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
They can't because that's the only person they're quoting. They're not quoting anyone else.
Yeah. This, I could say, okay, so let me go back in time a little bit here, cue up the sound effect from memory lane, right? This kind of started, for us at least, and I want to get your guys' take for sure, but this kind of started for us. We went on Timcast Culture War, right? And for those that aren't aware, it's a 2v2 debate type situation where you sit across the table from someone that pretty much is an antagonist, right? And we sat across from a guy, I forget his name, nice guy though, family guy. It was something like Alpha Dad or something like that. He has a Twitter platform.
Yeah, I remember.
And we debated with him on this situation, and he was arguing, hey, follow Christ, be religious, be a family member, etc., which I agree with.
Yes.
I think everyone here at the table is a big proponent of the nuclear family. And let me be extremely clear about that. Me and you have talked about it extensively with the nuclear family. Everyone here at the table, I've had conversation with you guys about the nuclear family and how it is the backbone of a thriving civilization. But let's understand that we're in 2024 and the landscape has changed. So I'm telling them, look, that is ideal, but we got to operate on what's real. Women are no longer the same. And just because you found your wife and you were able to get her on your program and she was, fears God and everything else, a lot of these hoes don't. That's not how the world works anymore. So we had this debate, and people kind of saw like, okay, that's ideal, but the reality is most people aren't religious anymore. Most people live secular lives. Most people live godless lives, and you got to kind of adapt to the new normal and understand how to at least identify these women so that you don't take them seriously. Right. Yeah, at least identify them.
I think exactly. Having slept around a lot, you really learn what women do. You learn how to tell when they're shady, like. If you haven't gone and slept around, you aren't going to be able to read women. You have to go. I think it was you who said go sleep with at least 50 women or something. It's
they go after me all the time.
That's not even that many, but that's how you start learning women, though.
It's so funny.
That's not that many.
50. I mean, what are you talking about?
It sounds like, but that's like how you learn the psychology. And you see when women, you see the lies they're telling other dudes when there's you and shit, and you start being like, so you learn to spot the signs. If you ain't doing that, you can't. Like I could tell. Hey, some girls are good liars, but I could usually tell pretty quick their character because I've gone and done the crazy shit. And I think for men, we can live like that, and it's easy for us when we want to go settle down, get a family. The girls don't care. Unfortunately for women, it don't work that way. The girls are usually out running around. I see the girls I used to party with, most of them are still single, trying to find a man. And most of the guys that we're doing this with, settled down, living a different life. So it's interesting. I don't know. I don't think everyone's different. I don't say you guys need to do that, but you're going to learn a woman a lot better if you do.
Yeah.
How much of the argument coming from the traditional argument?
Oh, my bad. Sorry. So so fast forward. So it started there with the culture war, right? Yeah. And it kind of brought attention to it. And then next thing I know, trad cons are kind of saying like, and I know they're talking about me because they're using the 50, using the number, the marker of 50 girls. Because I came out, long story short, hey,
they fixate
you don't want to get married unless you have a few things in place. Make $100,000 per year, have 6 months of savings, be in shape, 35 years old, and have sex with 50 women. I think at that position, you're in a situation where you are aware of women, you're financially competent to a degree where you could be in a position where a woman will respect your authority to some degree. The average woman should be able to follow that lead. You set a decent example at that point, right? That's just to get married. 50 girls, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. Going crazy. So I see the Tradcons over on whatever, saying whatever, and obviously Chase saying what he says. And he's like making it look like I'm sitting here promoting degeneracy, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just telling guys to adapt to the new normal.
How much of it is the people from the traditional side of the argument are older? Like I'm thinking Dennis Prager is ancient. Dave Ramsey also, and I'm again not against the nuclear family, and these guys are very fortunate. They've had their wives the entire time, and fine, good for them. But how much of this is just old way of thinking? Like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. In
Dennis Prager's cases, I think he's on his third wife.
He's on his third wife, right? But 40 years ago, it was wise counsel to go and get a college degree. Now that's one of the worst things you could possibly do in times of change. How much is it just old farts thinking old fart stuff?
I'm just curious what's their solution because, look, the problem is, let's say you go get married nowadays, right? Without the experience, what's going to happen to you? You get divorced, raped, you get, for example, half your money gone, and it's like, okay, we're telling guys a solution. What's their solution? I don't know what it is, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, their thing is, be religious, and that's going to kind of save you. And my thing is, I think what that'll do is you kind of pull the wool over your eyes when you do that because what ends up happening is you're going to look at the girl from an idealistic perspective versus a realistic perspective. Like, oh, she's a stripper, but she found God now or something like that. And it's like, I look at it like women always reserve the right to go back to feminism whenever it suits them. And they will. They will go ahead and use the divorce court against you if they want. I hate to use this example, but like, look at Steven Crowder. married a traditional conservative Christian woman, God-fearing. And what did she do?
Tries to ruin his career.
She's trying to destroy him right now, and she edited clips to make him look like a monster when it wasn't the truth at all.
Everyone in an argument has done and said some stupid shit with any serious girlfriend. So edit a little clip.
Absolutely.
I'm sure any of your exes, you could do this bitch is saying some crazy shit, but I would never like record it and edit it out. That's
what makes it
scummy
even
thing
more
to do.
heinous? She sent it to the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's
Like she had the
on purpose, by the way.
She had the intent to destroy this man. Like you're gonna go after him and send it to his pretty much his ops, right? Sorry, I can't think of a better term right now. I'm asleep. But like, you send it to his ops. You know that they're going through a feud right now, the whole contract situation. Yeah. You're going to send it to them, and then they all pretty much like, they're dropping hit pieces on him and shit. It's like, come on, man. You're supposed to be his wife, his confidant. At least keep that behind. Like, have your divorce court on the side. Don't destroy the man's reputation and his ability to earn money for the children.
Yeah, with hidden videos. And I'm sure she said some crazy shit to him, too, if he filmed it.
And
all.
at some
That's a slimy
point,
thing to
she
do.
loved him. They said till death do us part, or until she's unhappy. But Marquette, what's your take on this, bro? Just curious.
A lot. So number one,
take your time, brother. Take your time. Give us the wisdom.
I hear it percolating over there.
I just sit back waiting to say some crazy, wild stuff. So I want to turn the entire world upside down. Number one, I'd like to say that Christianity is entirely lost. For example, you find Christians in America, you'll find an LGBTQ flag on the church itself. You'll find churches that have female pastors, where in the Bible it states that a woman should learn in quiet subjection. A woman should not be the leader of men.
And the bishop should be the husband of one man. Or I'm sorry, the bishop should be. The bishop should be.
It does not.
I'm sorry. The bishop should be the husband of one wife.
That was
sorry.
truer
I'm sorry.
than you know.
The bishop should be the husband of one wife. And the church you're referring to, there's one in Los Angeles. It's at the intersection of Fuller and Highland. You're right. It's just a huge LBGT flag.
And Fresh is going to be a pastor, so he could definitely. Yeah,
that's crazy, by the way.
Are you really studying?
Yeah,
he was going to be.
I was going to be.
Okay.
Canada.
Yeah. So Christianity is extraordinarily lost, as is the identity of the American, because we forget that this country was started by religious zealots, right? Dude on the Quaker box, Puritans, these kinds of folks. So we're very lost from an identity standpoint. Christianity is lost as well. Then when you go beyond that, I'd like to assert that the man who is succumbing to marriage is probably one of the weakest men in the society. I'd actually turn up things a degree higher and state that men who are truly traditional, today you actually have to do things that historically would not be viewed as traditional. Whereas previously you get into the marriage contract, this woman is now essentially your property. She's subject to you and to your domination. Now when the marriage occurs, you're subject to the government's domination. So it is the weak male who submits to marriage, for marriage is beneficial to the female. Why? Because it locks you into a long-term contract, like Scottie Pippen, right? You get in that long-term bad contract, and what happens is that over time, the female's declining rapidly in value. Menopause, things like this, right?
Biological fact.
Right?
Yeah.
And here's the worst part about it. Are you getting the things you really wanted when you were going into the marriage? All of the things every male actually wanted: sexual variety, peace of mind, sex on demand.
No.
She's getting all of the things she sought: commitment, financial support, even if you're not in the relationship after the marriage. So the marriage is a horrible deal for men. In fact, I would suggest that today it only makes sense when you're about to procreate, and I still wouldn't do it legally. And the only reason I'm doing it when I'm about to procreate is so that we're not mixing paternal blood, because that's a filthy thing.
Wow. Well said.
Let me tag something else. I think we talked about this in our debate. That was awesome. Yeah, boy, really destroyed me. Each other. I think we mutually assured destruction.
He's going to clickbait. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was good. That was fucking good.
The niggas just chopping it up, man.
No, we were talking about this, and one of the things I mentioned, I couldn't remember it at the time, but I do now. It's coverture laws. And when I was writing Religion, my fourth book, in the very thick part of the chapter about marriage in there, I've mentioned coverture laws. There is this misnomer, or this misinformation. We're kings of misinformation, right? There's this misinformation that like women were considered like property up to a point, right? Or they couldn't own businesses, or they couldn't have their own money. They were basically that at the the beck and call, and like basically just house slaves of their husbands. And the fact of the matter is as far back as like the mid 1700s up in through the 1800s, there were what were called coverture laws. And what coverture laws were was a woman who was not married could own money, could own land, could own business, could inherit it from her family. Like if she had this as part of her inheritance because her father had started the business and now she takes over it, as long as she wasn't married. So when she got married, all of that went over to the husband, not because it was some sort of tyrannical thing. It's because of what you just said. The husband was responsible in every aspect for the children and for the wife. So what that meant was the reason why they had coverture laws is because if that woman had land or she had that business and she was married and she ran that business into the ground or she killed somebody or their children ended up being criminals or whatever, it was the husband and the father who was responsible for all of that. That's why today when we see some kid that goes commits suicide or has a drug problem or is in some way criminality or something like that, we don't go, where's the mother? We go, where's the father? Because we're still thinking, well, who's the authority? Well, that's because coverture laws back at the time, it meant that women could still do that as long as they remained unmarried. So it was on her if the business failed. It was on her if the land was not used in a way that she would have liked to have been used, right? So the thing is back then for women, if they wanted more agency, if they wanted more power, they could remain unmarried and have all of that. The thing is now today, we have coverture laws, but they're for men. You have more maneuverability and more power outside of marriage in the same effect than you do inside of marriage, because what happens is all of the responsibility for still maintaining the family and everything, that's all still there. But if there's a divorce in there, then she's going to be entitled to half of that or whatever the assets are. And we've talked about this with James Sexton. I really wish we could have got James Sexton for this panel, but essentially, the coverture laws have been reversed in the 21st century, meaning that men have more maneuverability outside of marriage than they do inside of marriage.
And I'll say this too, real quick. Last time I was on here, if you guys remember, I think it was the matchmaker from LA. I asked her,
Nelly.
Yeah, name one benefit that men get in a relationship that they don't get outside of the relationship. She couldn't name anything. And that's the question I ask every girl when they say, oh, well, I want to get married, blah, blah, blah. Then I ask, well, what benefit does a man get in a marriage that he wouldn't get in a regular relationship? And the answer is nothing. And it's funny because actually, this is public. The game actually took that clip and put it on his Instagram. And because I think it's getting out there now. Like a lot of people don't admit it. A lot of these celebrities and stuff like that, they watch our content, man. Shaq talked about how you should never open up to a woman vulnerability-wise. Like, these guys are watching this content. These guys have been destroyed by the divorce machine
they
at the
use some
highest
language
level.
we've used before. You go,
If you guys want to check out something, I'm sure
it's getting out there. Is my point.
The two of you look at this.
Great.
Look on Instagram at your shares, and also on YouTube, your shares versus your likes. I'm starting to get more shares than I do likes now.
That's a good sign.
It was actually Dan Fleischman who was explaining this to me. He was like, these people don't want their coworkers to know they like your content.
Yeah.
So that is something that, so if you guys look at the ratio, usually if you see some girl in a bikini competition, she's going to get 100,000 likes and maybe, 5,000 shares. If you're getting 50,000 shares and 10,000 likes, that means these people like your content. They're sending it to their coworkers.
They like it for real.
But they don't want people to know that they like it. And like you said before,
I was shocked when I saw someone sent this to me. I saw LA Company. I was like, holy fuck. Like, I mean, it's public, so I say it, but I'm like, damn. Like, he put that out there, so I'm like, okay, this is great. This information is getting out there to a broader audience so guys understand, wait, you're telling me I don't have to get married? You're telling me I
There's
don't
so
have to
many
put myself in
celebrities that
situation?
actually watch our content, bro. Like, I've met them in person. They're like, bro, I love your shit. Famous NBA players, athletes. It's like, bro, this is amazing. But I can't be seen with you guys because
it's so true.
Right.
People are such cowards.
One of the Golden Knights.
Like a tweet and shit.
One of the Golden Knights came up to me at an event I just threw the other day, and he's like, "Dude, I love your content. My wife doesn't like it."
And I'm sure all of us have been told by a celeb. The only reason I even mentioned the game is because he put it on his Instagram publicly, like for everybody to see. I was like, oh, that's fucking lit. So he wants other guys to understand, like, because it's pretty important. Young guys don't know.
Yeah, most famous women understand women too, because they've been around, they've seen it. Because from not being famous and rich to all of a sudden becoming famous and rich, you see how differently you're treated. Luckily, I learned women before I had money and stuff, but you still see you're treated much differently. And a lot of guys, they don't understand this.
So let's talk about. You made a great point before. Is like we don't want to bash people for being Christian. That's definitely not what we want to do. But there's a difference between discernment and judgment, right? So what it says in the Bible, it says, "He who sticks his hand to the plow while looking back is not fit for the kingdom of God." It's telling you need to use logic and you get experience. Remember, I was once young and now I'm old and I've never seen the righteous forsaken. It says this in the Bible. Bible. You can still use experience. You can still know these things. Steven Crowder is a smart guy. He knows a lot of things, but I guarantee you I know more about female nature than Steven Crowder because he married the first woman he put his penis in. And that's the problem. That's what happened. And so regardless of what happened here, he trusted in something. He trusted in a God that's telling him, you should be wise. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This idea that I'm just going to leave it all up to them, that's ignorance. There's nothing in the Bible where it says for you to be helpless. No, you should have wisdom. And King Solomon prays for wisdom.
Yeah.
And so why can't we have wisdom when it comes to these things? And what you're not promoting is hedonism. You're promoting discernment. You're promoting experience. The experience you're promoting. Now I have some clients who are religious, and I tell them if you don't want to have sex with all these women, it's fine, but you need to have experience, like going on dates and getting to know this is the action. We talk about the difference between this is attention you're getting from a woman. This is compliance you're getting from a woman. You think you're getting compliance, you're actually getting attention. When fellas out there, when a woman sends you nudes, that's not compliance, that's attention. She sent those nudes out to 34 other dudes. Okay? Those are just her thumbs. When she shows up at your place, that's compliance. That's why you don't leave messages, you don't leave comments, heart eye emojis on her stuff. That's you're giving her attention. In return for nothing. I'll give her compliments when she comes to my apartment. When she makes me dinner. Then I'll give her compliments because she's given me compliance, not attention. And that discernment is what a lot of these men don't understand. And so we end up in a situation where the church is, you're going to go to the Wednesday youth group, right? The young adults group. And the young adults group is going to be the guys who stayed, and they stayed a virgin. Because it's much easier for a guy to stay a virgin than a woman. He stayed a virgin. He followed the Lord. And then this other woman, she did porn for a while, and then she came back to the church. But we're putting these two people in the same youth group now. We're putting them in the same young adults group, and we're putting them together. And then in order for me as the church, I got to make this stick somehow. So I'm like, well, she is now absolved of the fact that she did all these things. And so the guy who's a virgin might be like, hey, should I be marrying a woman who's been with this many dudes? And the church is going to be like, well, we absolved her. So yeah, I mean, I guess you're supposed to do that. And that's the problem, because if they don't absolve the woman for her sins, then the church has no real leverage or power. And so then they would lose that whole thing. And in the end, it is that lower status man, or that man who doesn't have any discernment or experience. He's the one who ends up being the victim.
How much of this is also, it's a kind of a peculiarly Christian thing where you're almost abdicating your thought and logic to God and to Christ? Whether, I slept with a ton of guys and ruined some families, but I'm a born again. And then you kind of have an equally dopey, well, gee willikers, shucks howdy, I'm going to do well. And, I'm a really...
Ned Flanders.
Well, no, Ned Flanders actually was a badass. If you watch, he was a hard-ass Christian. But in general, where if I just do what God tells me, God will take care of it, an element of fatism. And when you have two people coming in with honest intentions, that works. But
none of this is about religion. It's a cloak. You have one guy who says he's a Christian, another guy who says he's a Christian, and then they utilize this to explain their thinking and behaviors, yet they behave radically differently. The guy who remains a virgin and says it's because of his Christianity, 9 out of 9, that's not the case. It's because of his nature and his upbringing and the information he was provided.
His weirdness.
Precisely. It's not actually because of religion, because the truth of all the religions is most people don't believe. If people actually believed in the religion, we'd all be taking huge risks. Let's go bungee jumping. Let's speed on the highway. I'm going to heaven anyways. When we meet someone who actually believes in religion, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
We think they're weird because they actually believe. When those boys are like, let me strap this to my chest and I'm about to go to my 40 virgins. They're terrifying to us because they actually believe.
Yeah, they believe it, yeah.
These guys do not believe. They're using religion as an explanation for how they are living or what their deficiencies are. And with regards to Steven Crowder, it's an issue of selection. There's two major issues. Number one, the hero in the society, especially for those of us who are upright and traditional and we follow the rules and we go to college, it's, you got married and you stayed married and you maintained those vows, which is to say you stayed in there like a sucker in a 9-to-5 job, waiting to get your retirement pension. That's extraordinarily dumb. And that's what weaklings do. They get into bad situations and they're not strong enough to say, hey, this is not for me. But we've told that story consistently and guys follow it because they don't know what the alternative is.
Well,
I want to... go ahead, Aaron.
Still along the same line that I was making. So the intention is for rationalization, not having to face up to ownership, the hard work that would come with sleeping with 50 women, rejection and all that other stuff. Where I only see a defense for this traditionalism, think Christians, whatever their motivations might be, is they're the minority. If you look at everything we've talked about, because we're on our third generation now of people getting divorced. Like I think everyone here has seen or has had their parents get divorced, grandparents get divorced. The empirical evidence is
Book of numbers. People
undeniable.
need to look
book
at
of numbers,
it.
but then
your book of numbers breaks it down fantastically.
Right.
Like the terrible odds.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. But I can't imagine. Here's some guy like, what do I believe? The trad cons, or I believe these empiricist red pill type of people. You just look at the chaos and the blood in the streets with divorce rates, what girls are doing. The internet just shows it to you in 4K. I think the only way you could, in today's world, defend marriage is you would have to have some kind of religious affiliation that allows you to, for lack of better words, abdicate responsibility and believe, oh, God will take care of it and all that. So whether in other words, what I'm saying is I don't really think there's a debate. I think we've won, and you got these holdouts who are delusional or for whatever reason. And to make a point to the audience, any younger man listening or any guy thinking about marriages, you guys are 100%. The laws have changed. We are definitely pro-family, pro-nuclear family, pro-stability, Christianity, a good religion, whatever. But these girls are not playing by those same rules. And there's a high percentage of them that are going to feel, I totally believe in
And let me
Jesus.
say this, too, because we've been hypercritical of the Christian faith. Let me also, as someone that grew up in a Muslim household, let me also be honest and let you guys know that, I hate to say it, Islam doesn't prepare you for the modern dating marketplace either. Unfortunately, right, they advocate women be a virgin on her wedding day, etc. And the reality is that's just not going to happen. Like, you're going to have to go to, a pretty strict Sharia law country to be able to find that.
And she still
even
has
then,
to be
it's
in the
still gonna be
fourth grade.
Yeah. So, and if you interpret it literally, it could be problematic. So my thing is, right, like, and this applies to Judaism as well, right? Like, let's go with Daily Wire, right? Because they're also super hard on, pushing the trad con marriage, etc., which again, everyone at this table believes in the nuclear family. But we don't agree with pursuing the nuclear family in a volatile environment that's set up for you to fail unless you go in with your eyes wide open. I'm not telling you to not pursue the nuclear family. I'm telling you to know that it could be nuclear if it fails. So my thing is also this. Religion is not going to give you the safety that it once did before. I always say that religion is kind of like training wheels, right? Those training wheels are gone. You better be able to ride that fucking bike from the beginning, because the training wheels are no longer there to keep women in line, shame, guilt. All this stuff isn't there anymore. Women are incentivized to be whores thanks to the music, thanks to society. OnlyFans now gives them a financial reason to be whores. We got girls now where we know they're going on podcasts saying, yeah, I sucked this guy's dick, and then I got the jizz in my mouth, then I went back to my other guy, blah, blah. Girls are saying this now to get clicks.
Right.
So they're advertising themselves as whores. So there's never been a time where women are more comfortable to be promiscuous. So what does that mean? It means that religion is no longer a tool set to defend you from the fuckery. And, Ben Shapiro always says, well, I'm a married man and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, bro? Now everybody's a Harvard graduate that came from a, Orthodox Jewish family that had the Orthodox Jewish woman set up for him with a setup. Like, it's not going to happen for a lot of guys.
You probably won't leave him because he's rich.
Yeah,
if you know anything about his story, if you know how he met his wife, it's like
both virgins and stuff.
He was just, I'm pursuing, like, I'm courting you now, and it's like who the fuck?
Like, no girl's gonna. Could you imagine going up to a girl say, I'm gonna court you? Like, excuse, most of these bitches don't even know what court means. You mean my ticket? Like, what bitch? Like, no.
Yes.
Like, we're gonna go on a date. Like, they don't even know. So it's like the thing is that the new normal has changed. So like, and I'm critical of all the religions for this. None of the religions of the book, unfortunately, prepare you for the modern woman. I hate to say it, man.
Well, so
Go ahead.
So I think you brought out earlier wisdom, right? So on some level, religion is important because you need structure to handle your daily affairs.
Sure.
However, without wisdom, there's no application to those standards. So what's happening here is that people pick and choose what is good for them based off of religion. For example, Christians. Oh, you know what? We're all loving. Come in, gays. You can be gay here. Show your love, and we'll support you. But what does the Bible say? It says, listen. That's not what God wants.
It says,
but to be all inclusive, they say, we'll bend the rules for you guys. But again, this is where you have to apply wisdom and religion together for it to make sense, which involves dating, getting experience.
And it hurt me to say that. Like, guys, I don't want to have to, say something about a religion that I grew up following and my family follows strictly. But I got to be honest. Like, Islam does not set you up to deal with Western modern women.
We could all agree.
I'm watching Marquette over here. I'm like, I know.
Say something that I noticed.
Yeah, he's gonna say.
Good.
Please.
Because I'm going to bounce off of yours right now because I know what you're going to say.
There's no such thing as a religious woman. When you're dealing with religion, you're dealing with values and principles that you have to stick to.
Yes.
You've heard the phrase, a man of his word. Mm-hmm. You've never heard a woman of her word. Oh, my God. Right? Okay. And I know you know the word. While we're speaking of the Bible, they said in the beginning there was the word.
Yeah.
So there are no women of the word. There are no women who believe in religion. The real failing is of the men who actually don't take on the religion seriously and enforce it. The other thing we have to consider is this. It's actually, keeping with that, it was not the religion and the ideas that kept the woman in line. It was the community.
Yeah.
The community which provides for stigmatization,
Yes.
shame.
Consequences.
Exactly. Her feeling bad about her behaviors. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So unless we have that religious community with men enforcing the ideas and providing consequences.
And other women, too. Instead of enabling in the comments like, you go, girl. No, you
Right.
should be saying, you fucking slut.
Right. And they're saying that because the man programmed them.
Yes.
The woman finds her religion through the man.
Agreed. Yeah.
You could
That's the
almost
only
say
way.
that a real man is the God to the woman.
Well, look at it linearly. So God, the man, and the woman. That's
Right.
that's how it works.
That's right.
Children and puppy dogs.
Well, when you look at from a macro standpoint, like you said before, the concept of consequences, those consequences aren't there. And anytime you have like a liberal democratic society and technology advances, you're going to get further and further away from a survival scenario. Right. And as you get further and further away from a survival scenario,
belief.
then all of a sudden you have the luxury of not having the same beliefs. I'm not saying let's bring back the Scarlet Letter or whatever, but
I'm saying bring it back.
what I am saying though is the result of there being no consequence of Brittany Renner saying I fucked 3 guys today and I have a yeast infection and she goes viral on TikTok for saying that. For her doing that, we had a girl on here one time. Do you remember? She's like, yeah, I'm seeing this guy's pretty serious. And then later on, by the end of the show, admit she just gave a guy a blowjob right before the show. I was like, it's the guy you're dating. She's like, no, it's a different guy. And I'm like,
She's probably
60,000 people are watching us.
And that makes
she didn't
sense in
care.
her head, though.
For sure.
That's the part that kills me is that in her head,
For sure.
that's still okay.
Yeah.
There's a redhead that just kind of like, I don't want to go into too many details, but long story short, it's 3 a.m. I'm in my storefront, right? Woman knocks on the door. I open the door. She's claiming she wants to go upstairs, right? So I was like, okay, I'll let you in the building. So I leave out of my storefront. I go let her upstairs, and then she still needs me to scan her into the elevator. So we get in the elevator. She has a drink. She's supposed to go meet her friend. She's texting, and then she says, oh, they're saying like the party's over, so I guess I'm too late. Okay, cool. So then we go back out. You guys know it's been a bit cold, right? So she's supposedly waiting for someone to come pick her up, her boyfriend. So then she says, hey, it's a bit cold. Do you mind if I sit inside with you while I wait for him? I'm not going to tell you guys how that story ended, but what I can tell you is that during the proceedings that occurred, I could see her texting him, "Oh, baby, I love you, and I'm sorry we had this fight, and I shouldn't have went out without you." And you know what? I truly believe she meant every word of it.
She did.
Despite everything she did that night, she meant every word.
In all the times you guys have had over 2,000 women on your show, have you heard I have never heard a single woman say, I cheated on this guy and I regret it. Not one time. Maybe once, and I can't remember, but I never hear a woman say, I broke up and I regret it. Because the thing is, regretting it would have to come with some consequences. I'm a man of my word. If I don't keep my word, if I keep showing up late, if I do business deals with you guys and I screw you over, not only will you not work with me, other people will not work with me as well. My value as a human, my ability to be useful to other humans comes through my word. If I have big fake boobies, then I don't have to do that. And when I don't show up on time, it's just incredible to me, the leeway. And by the way, I'm not blaming women for this. Can you imagine how any of us would act if we had women offering us sex
total whores
hundreds of times a day? Not only women offering us sex,
right there.
They're offering us money just to show our bodies.
Yeah, sure.
Could you imagine how you'd be intolerable? I'm not even blaming women for this.
You can't blame women
You'd
for
be
it.
intolerable. You wouldn't even know. There's no way evolutionarily for your brain to comprehend that. So when women were getting all this attention, they still have the same evolutionary psychology hardwire that they had 200,000 years ago. It's just not, that firmware is not programmed for this stimulus, for this input. And so when they do it, they just become intolerable, which is the same thing.
Look at Britney Spears right now.
Sure.
I made a post about this. She's going crazy. For anyone that for the Gen Zers, we're all old enough to know. She was obviously
We're
pop
already
star.
there.
She's going to go down. down the Hall of Fame, with the MJs and the Chers and everything else like that as a pop singer, right? It's undebatable that she's probably one of the top pop stars in the 90s, right? Whatever. She got famous young, though, right? Mm-hmm. I would argue that the craziness that Britney Spears is experiencing right now came from her getting too much attention and too much fame at a young age, and she didn't know how to handle it.
Oh, yeah. Too much, too young, too fast.
In the next 20 years, you're going to see the same thing with a bunch of these regular-ass girls thanks to fucking Instagram. You got regular girls with 100,000 followers, no skill set, used to getting a bunch of attention and likes from men.
Million dudes simping over.
Could you imagine what it's going to be like when she's 40 and she no longer gets that same level of attention? It's going to be Britney Spears, but on a crazy and exponentially more level.
And then we want them to commit to one man that is mediocre at best, and then say, oh, you know what? Lower your standards. She won't.
Yeah, because
no,
these girls. Well, so have these girls. Sometimes they can sleep with a guy above their skills and think they can date him. So get these girls that can sleep with a guy.
You fuck a 10, so you think you can get a 9 to commit.
No, exactly, but we generally we can fuck a girl. That girl will date us in most cases. But these women sometimes will sleep below our levels, or if we're sleeping around, and these girls think they can date men that are way out of their league, and they're chasing these guys that they can't date.
I'm flooded.
Simply put,
I love it, and I'm flooded right now.
Yeah, like this is what I predict. Like when I see Britney Spears acting crazy, I'm like, holy shit. This is going to happen in 20 years to the 19-year-old that's all over OnlyFans, to the 21-year-old that's getting 100,000 likes on a photo. And what's even worse, these girls have no skills. At least Britney could fucking make some music.
She got money.
She got some hits. Yeah. She has some level of talent. These bitches have nothing. So when they lose their looks, how are they going to maintain their relevancy? How are they going to maintain their sanity?
How do you cult?
We're gonna have a bunch of crazy bitches.
Hold on. Drugs,
Xanax,
antidepressants, all that's going to happen.
SSRIs are like at record levels for women. Let me clear out some of these super chats right quick. No Fugazi podcast says shout out to all 7 of these wise gentlemen. Peace of the Saints, and high level IQ conversation. Wish I was there, but I'll be there in 2 weeks. Much respect. Yes. And then I've got Weaponry Fitness says, thank you for the $50 super chat. He says, it's always a pleasure listening to all the excellent men on the panel. Stay gold. And then Nuke Cardiola says, Nuke says, the utopia isn't your utopia. They lost the fight. Why do you think they will win the rematch? Tradconism was destroyed by the non-reversible process. They're not offering to save society for you. They're demanding you save it for their kids.
So let me add on. This is a very important fundamental thing that Mike hit on, and you did as well, and that is because of technology, because of economic production. Back in the day, women did need men to survive, and that's what brought us together on a genetic bioevolutionary thing. Then you had the Industrial Revolution, Agricultural Revolution, even technology. You guys were on that. You guys were way ahead of that.
Ahead of our time, bro.
Yeah, way ahead of your time.
Yep.
Yeah. And anyway, so because, and I've said it before, women really don't need men anymore, not to survive. You throw in the welfare state and everything like that. And
not enough guys know that. That women don't fucking need you anymore.
Right.
I think guys
they literally say that on your show constantly. Hell, I had to tell freaking Dr. Phil that exact same day.
They really don't. Sorry.
But anyway, they do not need men. And what younger men have to realize, I don't care how long marriage has been a tradition, I don't care what your religion is saying, women are absolutely different now. And that was one of the main things for me to measure in the book of Numbers was what percentage of women are marriage material. It's 2.7%. You can question my methodologies. That's a separate
I'll sign off on that.
Sounds like a good estimate. Though.
I'll sign off on that.
Can you tell them real quick how you can?
Well, there are 3 ways. Okay, but
real quick, it's actually amazing how you did it.
There are 3 ways, but the one I think you're referring to is the deal breaker method, where I took
multiple tattoos, mental illness,
bad finances, another man, kids, obese, and I forget the other 3 or 4.
All very fair deal breakers, by the way.
Those are low standards.
I have some really fun friends who have multiple tattoos, and they all have mental illness.
Right.
So real quick, can you watch that? For the tradcons that are watching this right now that criticize us and hate us or whatever, let's look at the numbers.
Me and Jake over here I don't
know. He said 5 or more. Did you say? You said 4 or more tattoos.
But anyway,
for women, that girl with face tattoos, but date them.
But and that's a good point to make. Is for anyone who is religious or you're very traditional, I'm like, okay, for a second, set aside your traditionalism or your religion and view it more as an actuary or a statistician would. And I had an actuary audit my figures. Look at it like an insurance risk pool. Please go get that book, read the number. You know, you can just look at the numbers. You don't have to read anything. But my point is what I'm trying to convey to men. Well, maybe Rollo was because he's old. But do you guys remember when high school students could bring guns to school because there's either a marksmanship club or they were going to go hunting?
I missed out on that.
In the country in Texas, you could shoot downstairs. Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so that young people are not responsible enough for that.
Yeah.
They're simply not. Wow. And women are no longer responsible enough for marriage. It just generally speaking, because the environment has changed.
So I have a theory.
So women need marriage classes and men need like gun classes.
That'd be a good idea.
So we interviewed, let's say, I want to say altogether, maybe like over 5,000 girls.
Almost 3,000.
All of us.
Everybody here. Oh, yeah.
Everybody, right?
Yeah.
So
easily,
here's my theory, especially with today's, I want to say women's behavior today. So ultimately, women do what they do regardless. You know, it's a new modern day society. They do what they think is right in their head. But my thing is, for a man, I've found that a woman will only do what you tell her to do if she respects you.
Yes.
So, for example, the bottom
100%.
line here is like, if you want to test a woman for a good wife or good tenant to be with you, for example, long term, I would say she's going to do behaviors by herself to get to you. But unless she listens to what you say, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So that to me is a golden rule there as well. I don't know if you guys agree.
Like 100%.
I gotta add one in.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of women, especially gentlemen such as you all, who are in position. Oh, they're going to perform.
Yes,
of course. It's like that job interview. You're like, do you know how to program in Python? They're like, absolutely. They're going to do what they can to get in position. But I learned the greatest test, in addition to that, that's a necessary one.
Yeah.
Observe how they react when they're disappointed.
When you tell them no.
Disappoint them.
When you say no.
Yeah, and then see how forgiving they are. And that lets you know the stickiness of the woman. Is she a flighty woman?
Yeah. You can also add to that.
I'd say the
Watch how she behaves around people that can do absolutely nothing for her. See how
Tell me more about that one, Rollo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who can do absolutely nothing for her. I mean, it's one thing. Like I hear the reason I came to that conclusion was is that there's a lot of women who will say, "Well, I always make sure and see if the guy will tip, or he'll be like rude to the waiter, or he'll be rude to the store clerk or some shit like that, and trying to impress me by being an asshole with them rather than understanding, like being personable to all the rest." I thought, how does that apply to women?
Okay.
And we have this one example where we talk about did you go to CVS before you came into the show today? Yeah. Did you mention? Do you remember the short Filipino guy that was stocking the shelves before?
How about that? Yeah.
And no, you didn't, because he's invisible to you. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do women relate with people who can do absolutely nothing for you?
You want to hear something interesting? I literally came to this yesterday, this realization, and it just hit me. Like, I've noticed this trend, but now I'm like solid in it. We do this thing. We tell the girl, "Do you think it's easy to attract a woman as a man?" And they say yes. And that's okay. I want you to be the guy, and I want you to pick up Fresh or me or whatever.
Freshina.
Right? Yeah, whatever. And I'll replace the girl, and I'll give them honest, genuine, normal female objections. "Can I get your number? I have a boyfriend." "Oh, not playing hard to get, maybe not being as talkative, where you have to generate the conversation, etc." It's amazing how the women almost always default. Well, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, she ain't interested." Immediately start offering money. Immediately start being a trick. Immediately start being a simp, etc. And then I'm like, "Well, what are you doing? You're a regular guy." "What do you mean I'm a regular guy?" "What? No, aren't I 6'5" and a millionaire? No, you're a fucking regular guy. Pull her up at the supermarket, and they have no concept, because to them, regular guys don't exist.
Invisible.
They don't exist. And I think, because there's a couple of dark truths that men just need to fucking accept, right? And even the trad guys need to accept this shit. Most women don't need you anymore. They're more educated now than ever before, and they've ever been, and they make more money than they ever made. Then on top of that, religion, right? Most girls aren't religious anymore. A lot of you chicks are fucking hoes. And then on top of that, they don't want normal guys, because if they don't need you to provide for them, well, what's left?
The guy they want.
Bam.
Right.
Not the guy they need.
They'd rather be a side chick for the guy they like than date some guy they don't.
You went even through the numbers when
Jason
we went
Momoa, that's
editing your book.
Yes.
Because
One literally said that to me.
Yeah.
Was that?
Jason Momoa. I don't even know who these people are. And she was like, "Yeah."
They want Jack Reacher. That's what they want.
So there's one thing. There's one thing I found was fascinating. So Marilyn Monroe had a mental disorder.
Clearly
diagnosed, but Marilyn Monroe's mother had the same mental disorder, and her grandmother had the same mental disorder. And the reason why you ask yourself, like, what's the deal there? Well, they were attractive enough to where these men looked past that. So there's no selection pressure for a woman. So consider a woman being autistic and a man being autistic. A woman being autistic, if she's still really attractive, will have children and she will have men pursue her. So there's no selection pressure against her passing on her genetics. A man with the same issue, autism, his ability to procure resources and to be charismatic around a woman is greatly lessened, and therefore his ability to spread his genetics is much less. So what we're seeing, we used to have selection pressure for bigger, stronger men. They would have more children because they would be able to be more productive and they would have bigger, stronger children. And since 98% of the U.S. population was agricultural back in the 18th century, there was big, strong men who had more kids. So testosterone levels were higher. We've done measurements where testosterone levels have dropped since the 1950s. So now what we see is as these men who are more technologically savvy and do jobs that don't require a lot of testosterone, the selection pressure is not there's no selection pressure against them. So now we have more babies that have lower testosterone. That's one of the reasons why men in general have lower testosterone. But we still have to keep our word. We still have to be productive. We still have to be useful. We still have to be honest. There's still things we have to do as men in order for us to be productive so that we can procreate. For the most part, obviously there's some deadbeat dudes out there. For women, on the other hand, in their situation, they don't. What happens is whatever they come with, whether it be schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder or whatever, my point is, in every population, those things are generally not desired and they're selected against. But if you're hot enough, they aren't. That's my point. They aren't. And so those things will continually get pushed on. This is, again, the whole thing I'm just saying can put down in one sentence: don't stick your dick in crazy, because that's what sticking your dick in crazy.
To that, though.
Yeah, but when you stick your dick in crazy, you are continuing. Not raw.
You're telling me bitches can't be penalized for being retarded?
Yeah, that's the thing.
This is fucked up.
Hey,
I've got an example. Amber Heard.
Let me throw a couple things in here real quick, because I have people in the chat wondering where Andrew Wilson is today. Andrew was going to be on the panel, but he had to cancel at the last minute because he was being baptized this week.
Oh,
so that's where he is right now.
Andrew's legit, though.
Yeah, Andrew's legit.
Hey, was he smoking while they dunked him?
People say, "Oh, this conversation would be so great if Andrew was there." I go, "I agree, 100% agree."
Yeah, let me say this real quick. I've had two people ask me to have a debate with Andrew Wilson about evolutionary psychology, and what me and Andrew would really debate is evolution, not evolutionary psychology, because Andrew and I actually probably would come to the same conclusions on a lot of things, and I like him. But multiple people have asked me to do this. But the thing is, what you said at the very beginning, what I don't want to do is to get into a yelling match with someone who believes in Jesus and trying to say, you know, what you're saying is wrong. And so that's my only fear here in these situations, is because we're kind of like a lot of us, when we talk about tradcons and red pill people, we're kind of on the same side, right? We're not voting for we're not voting for Biden, are we? So we're kind of on the same side. So that's the problem.
There's a reason why we talk past each other, though, too, because we're not having the same conversations. And I think we talked about this on our podcast.
Yeah.
Is, I refer to them as believers. So it could be any religion, right? Just easier just to say believers, right? So believers tend to be more invested in moral absolutism, whereas like the red pill, at least from my experience anyways, is more about factual absolutism. So what happens is when you get a debate together, we're going to debate together, and we're going to say, is God real? Is God not? You know, the red pill is leading men astray, that kind of stuff. It sounds like on the surface of it, it sounds like there's going to be some sort of like real, a good conversation come out of this. But the problem is we end up talking past each other. And the reason why we do that is because the believers tend to have a different goal than people who than empiricists, right? So when I'm having this conversation with somebody, I'm saying, the red pill is not a ideology, it's not a religion, it's not praxeology. It's a praxeology is what it is, yes. And that's the best way I can describe it, right? Because it's based in empiricism. Whereas if you're going to talk to believers and you have empiricists and believers, what happens is the believers tend to want to figure out whether you're a good person or you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Is it right or is it wrong? It's about best practices.
They call us degenerates.
Right. Exactly. Because you're discussing things that sound like you're endorsing these things, because just because I can discuss the worst atrocities in the world, it doesn't mean I endorse them. It doesn't mean that I'm on board with this. I want to understand how we got to that position
on a certain topic.
And it doesn't have to be atrocities. It could be anything, right? It could just be like especially things that people are really invested in, such as marriage, such as sex, such as having babies, such as solving their reproductive problems, right? So what happens is you have these believers who are, their goal is to figure out what the best practices are, what should we do, how do we solve the problem, how do we, and that's a noble goal, don't get me wrong, and understanding what we ought to do. But the red pill's not about oughts. It's about what is, what is right here in my hands. And I'm reminded of that painting by Leonardo da Vinci where it's like Socrates is pointing to the sky, and it's like I think it's Aristotle like pointing to the ground, right? So it's like what's here and what should we do kind of thing. And that's really when we have this conversation. That's really what we're talking about. And so what happens is, the moral absolutists will say, well, those red pill guys are sons of bitches because they believe in or they don't believe in marriage, and they don't believe in a nuclear family. They don't open on his end and closed on her end.
That's
kind
a
of thing.
beautiful thing.
They think about those. They think about those things, and then they look at that and they go and they say, well, this is not according to my religion. This is not best practices, right? So therefore, you're a sinner and you're going to hell. As opposed to the guy who's on the opposite side, who's on the empirical side, so going, well, they're not really interested in truth. They're not really interested in an objective version of truth. And the problem with that is, without the both of those, we don't have a really kind of functioning society, because you have to know what's true before you can decide what the best practices are from that.
You have to know the facts. Aaron, you were going to say something about numbers.
I was going to say
please.
it's identical, and hopefully, I don't think we're at each other's throats with TradCons or anything like that. But to kind of show it, we're trying to help them. And it's exactly the same when I talk about worthless degrees and how women major in these horrifically dumb degrees. and
minorities.
But they are just as Christians hopefully would be wedded to their religion. These women are erroneously, I would argue, wedded to feminism, leftist politics, whatever, you go girlism and stuff like that. It's like, okay, but this empirical action of you majoring in dumb crap will cripple you for the rest of your life. Or we could talk about fat acceptance, the same thing. This is going to hurt you.
You're saying the woman?
It's going to hurt the woman. And what I'm saying is,
not the dumb degrees. The dumb degrees make her feel better.
No, the
dumb degrees don't hurt at all. Yeah, because they're not going to use the degrees.
Okay, but my point is, just like we are trying to help Christian men, and if Christian women would listen, like, no, you don't understand. This is a bad risk. This is a horrible risk. This is going to hurt you. This is not in your best empirical interest. It's the same thing we try to do with women, where it's like, please don't major in dumb stuff. Please don't get fat. And if they're too blinded by their ideology, that view is like, oh, we're the enemy, and now you're called a sexist or misogynist and all that. And the point I would try to make to those in traditional communities is, yeah, okay, this applied 60 years ago. Things have changed. You have got to upgrade your weaponry and tech, because you're going to get hurt if you don't acknowledge this. I'm not saying don't get married, or if you find the right, find the right girl, maybe go marry her. But the traditional means by which you were doing this, any degree is not a good degree, and marriage right now is not good. It's just too risky.
I think the trads are being tricked. Like, we hear about the trad wife. When I really think about the traditional women I know that have real traditional values, if I go live on YouTube, she doesn't want to be on camera.
She's hiding, yeah.
You hear her voice and never see her. She's like the mom from the Muppet Babies.
That's a good thing to pay attention
to.
Yep. You don't see my wife has never been on a single stream.
Yeah, if your girl's trying to get in all your things,
and
not
needs
a good sign.
no attention except from Rollo Tomasi.
Right, exactly.
Right? So the truly traditional woman would not even be on YouTube representing trad wives. That is actually a TikTok thought in disguise.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's a new way of thought.
Guys, real quick, I have a video I want to play real quick, and this is it's to your point, actually.
Okay. It's cute. It's
to
ready.
highlight what's happening right now, Rollo. You might like this video too.
I might.
They pick wisely. They pick super wisely. They're highly selective with the women that they choose. And then when they've chosen her correctly, they spoil her endlessly. They put her through the ringers. It's like, when you go to 6-7 rounds of an interview to get into those corporate jobs, they make you go through interview after interview after interview, a bit like going to a Harvard application. When you get to Harvard, they treat you well. Your life is set. But up until that point, they put you through it. What Fresh and Fit teach is take any kind of woman and then don't give her too much, play games, treat her harshly.
Oh, she hates.
What high value men do. They've got a reputation. They can't just take any old girl and then try and train her. They ain't got time for that. They take a woman who's been well trained by her family. This is what truly high
So
value.
I just did a reaction video to this.
Could you believe that?
Very clip. So here's the thing. Here's where Sadia is incorrect. Because what she's saying what might have made sense like 50 years ago, but she believes that there are these high status men that have this plethora of good women to choose from, and the statistics show us different. And I think because Sadia is not a man trying to be with a high status woman, I don't think that's
And she is not a legal psychologist either. We already have established
I don't think
Who gave her a mic, bro?
fraud and
Who
a
gave her a mic?
fake.
I don't think that's from her standpoint. She doesn't see it enough. I understand in a vacuum that sounds great, guys. Well, here's what we need to do. Let's all just have fucking high standards, and we'll all just have good traditional women that'll come to us. But then but that's not reality. In reality, we'll walk around and we'll meet some really fucking hot girls, and they're fucking crazy. And then we have.
I think it's harder for you to meet a traditional woman than Joe Blow on the street.
Yeah, for sure. Because the non-traditional women are I used to say this about Bilzerian. Dan might meet the hottest girl. He loves them. They totally get along, whatever. But as soon as the girl goes to the bathroom, 6 big titty strippers walk in and like push her out of the way. And that you're right. If you have more status, then it definitely becomes more difficult. Sadia Khan did say something else that I thought was interesting. It was another clip. She said that the average 19-year-old girl now has had sex with more men than the average 53-year-old woman now. She said, and it's when I thought about that, it's like that's kind of hard. That's probably true.
Yeah,
the average 53-year-old woman,
evil.
average 53-year-old woman never had a period where she felt the necessity to do that. And like, so it's true. The average 19-year-old girl probably does have a higher body count than the average 53-year-old woman.
Wild.
Let me respond to this with this super chat right here. Okay,
sure.
this is Johnny D143. Thank you. We need to have more conversations like this with men who talk about intergender dynamics and add value. This is what men did in the Academy of Ancient Greece. I agree 100%. And you know why I agree? Because
you were
that
there?
bitch does not know what the fuck she's talking
Exactly.
about. And that's who people are, because she's pretty, she's got big tits, she has no degree in fucking, she's not a clinical psychologist. At least Jordan Peterson has a degree in clinical psychology, okay?
Yeah, never ask women for dating
So
advice.
what happens is she gets popular by writing you guys' jock the whole fucking time, right?
For a while,
And again, anybody who watches your show knows she's full of shit. So when we have this roundtable discussion right here, and we're not kicking dumb hoes off, we're not Frank Castling anybody, we're having this conversation right here. How come they're not doing clips of this fucking show? How come they're not going and saying, hey, hey, this was a really good conversation. Why don't we clip this and see how it works and see how it flies? The problem is that nobody's shedding blood.
Yeah.
Nobody's dead on the floor. There's no big titties here. They're not flaming. They're not red, and they're not on fire. So
Yeah, I mean, if you're a female making any type of like dating type content that has any type of alignment with Red Pill, you're gonna go viral because it's like, oh shit, we got a girl in here that like agrees with us. Oh my god, this is awesome, and they just circle jerk. But the reality is with her is like, I just keep it down. She's a cloud chaser, man. She's been
100%.
talking about us for fucking years,
Exactly.
man.
They have no
She
clue.
begged to come on her shit, like, and I was like, nah. When we were in Dubai, on multiple occasions, I turned it down. This is the first time I've ever revealed this shit. And I was just like, nah, like, if you want to come, you got to bring some other chicks with you. We're not going to bring you on. That's the fucking truth. If I'm going to be all the way 1,000,
Love it.
and I got the proof.
Love
But, like,
it.
She is all
again, she's
brand.
been coming at us for fucking years now at this point. Well over a year. Just saying all this bullshit. And it's just like,
But she's a traditional woman, right? She wants the
I'll
exact
give you
same
10.
thing.
unmarried.
She's
on
about to be in
camera,
her 30s.
promoting
She's a
this,
sing-
like
she's
she
a single-
understands
she's a
our
single
lifestyle,
mother.
but she doesn't understand anything.
She's a
By the
single
way,
mother.
She's a single mom?
yeah. That's what I heard. I was looking up her degrees. There's
Even
Reddit.
worse.
There's Reddit.
I know
thread
she's
after
pushing 30
Reddit
and
thread
single.
after thread. Yeah, I know.
She kept
but
it. She don't got
isn't
no
it
relationship.
funny, right? Women come into our space and they sit down, listen to the points, and say, you know what? I could say this as well.
So-
in a softer, nicer tone to appeal to more people at a bigger level and gain a following. And then what they do is they grift off the space and then say, you know what? I'm the arbiter of truth now. But bitch, you're a girl.
Yeah.
You don't understand this. It's crazy, bro.
If you try to give really good advice to men, it's very ugly to the public. We're like, hey, you remember, don't listen to exactly what she says. Pay more attention to what she does. It's very ugly to the public. I like Chris Williamson, but Chris Williamson has a clip where he goes, just be yourself. He says it with his Welsh accent, and I'm like, dude, you take your shirt off for money, telling men to just be themselves. That is crazy. It's like Shaquille O'Neal saying, just get taller. It's fucking crazy.
Just look at
When I
the
hear this-
banner on his YouTube channel. He's
It's just like
this.
ripped like this. And my whole point is this. What's happened is there's two types of dating coaches. There's the dating coach who gives the good advice, but now we're watching how the sausage is made and it's ugly. And a lot of people don't want to see that. And now there's the dating coach that your girlfriend approves of. And that's Sadia Khan. That's Chris Williamson.
You should listen to her, man.
That's Alex Date Psych. That's Mac and Murphy. They're dating coach that your girlfriend approves of. And that's what's supposed to happen now. Isn't it funny? All these people are super good looking, giving us dating advice.
Yes,
it's amazing how that works. It's just so funny. And so that's the thing I'm talking about.
Here's the biggest litmus test if the advice is good. Dating in itself is adversarial, right? Right. And we've talked about this Rollo ad nauseum,
Mating
right?
strategies.
Yeah, like the man is trying to get sex and the woman is trying to get attention and resources. Both parties are fighting to keep their resource and get the others without giving up theirs. So if you're giving advice to one party, it automatically puts the other party at a disadvantage.
Yep.
So if you're giving proper fucking advice, the other party should be enraged that you're giving the other one information that puts them at a significant disadvantage.
Well,
and I've always said this too. When women warn each other about men, it's called advice. When men warn men about women, they call it misogyny. Because the truth is, women don't want you to know the truth because that's their only fucking power.
100%.
When you know the truth and you can't be finessed and you can't be manipulated, guess what? She ain't got no hands either. She can't do shit to you. So they don't want you to know. But this is why I always say, women dating coaches, right, or women that give advice in this situation, they give you half truths. A lot of things that Sadia says is actually correct. I'm not going to shit on her. But a lot of things she says is very incorrect, and I'm not going to blame her because she's a woman.
Yeah, how would she know? She
does not know.
I'll give you some inside baseball. When I consult, I rarely consult women, and I'm probably never going to write a book for a woman for one reason only: they won't listen. And I don't mean to slam that, but it is.
Bruce wrote Lady. No one bought it.
Yeah.
Which was a fantastic
that.
book.
Right, yeah. And
Bruce wrote a book for women called Lady.
Aaron,
great book.
You should write a book on what they want to hear.
Well,
then they'll buy it.
But
Five love languages.
That's called Oprah.
Operation Evil.
Well, it is Operation Evil. Yeah.
No one even knows Bruce wrote a book for women. It's called Lady.
But as it pertains to our overall conversation, is I would say, especially because everything is bought and paid for and taken care of, and they're not threatened with death or ostracization from the village or whatever, women, they don't have to listen to the truth. And I think a lot of younger men, and again, the TradCon community, you have to understand now, especially, say, using the materialist 80s, I guess, as a mark point, these girls will not entertain any practical, hard advice that would make for good quality and character, let alone a marriageable woman. And so things like, well, you got to tell a woman to lose weight nowadays. You can't do it. You just can't, you'll lose your fucking job. If you try and do something like that. Tell a girl to major in engineering. Tell a girl, like, hey, maybe you should keep the number of dicks in your mouth below a gross. Just wondering, but, and so, and for any young guy out there, if you're out there dating, see if you can give some advice along the lines of eat your broccoli, something that's healthy but is sacrificial and painful, and you'll see, because you cannot have a healthy marriage or committed relationship unless the other person is selfless. That's the whole point of love, is you love that person more than yourself. Well, if they're all about themselves, which they are, because that's how we've been trained, and they never ever needed anyone else, it is a huge uphill battle that you're facing. So you can, if you can't even get a prospective woman to be empirical, like, hey, you want 3 kids? Well, we better get a house that fits this, and we're going to only be able to afford these kind of cars. Well, I need to have an import. Well, fuck you, because math, that's it.
We had a girl on the show recently, by the way, right? We have a game we call Wifey Test, where we put our Instagram page and we see how you look, for wifey
Honey,
material.
listen up.
And actually, this girl pulled up her page, and that was not her. We said to her, listen, sweetheart, is that you? Who is that?
Oh, yeah.
And we told her to her face, listen, just being real here, who is this person? Because this is not you. And she got upset. She said, listen.
This is a big girl?
Yeah, big girl.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh, this is me. If you don't like it, da-da-da. We're like, don't you want a man? She's like, yeah. Well, he's going to see this and then say, yo, who's this? And she's like, well, I don't care. And I'm like, there's no logical reasoning here.
Yeah.
So by default, she's going to always fail. But that's the definition of insanity. So I don't know, bro.
Yeah,
It's
I
weird.
remember meeting a girl off Instagram once. Showed up, she was like 30 pounds heavier. I'm just like,
Yeah.
no,
Bro,
I was
no
so
one's going
pissed.
for that shit, bro.
They
might smash,
it's
but that's
crazy
it.
because, like, what I've noticed with girls is, like, they kind of, like,
Come on,
in the
man.
back of their mind, they're like, well, he's going to accept me anyway because that's what society does.
And
So
other
he's
men have accepted
There you
her.
go.
That's the other
That's the
reason.
big
That's a
one.
problem. A lot of dudes do.
So, and they're just like, yeah, well, you're going to accept me too. And it's just like, we don't, bro. It just kind of sucks how we don't really put a standard of behavior or excellence or performance on females at all. So it's like they can kind of do whatever they want. Like you literally said it before. Like you can be a retard as a female, and if you're hot enough, you will find a guy, no problem.
I want to add one.
Penalize the guys. That's the problem.
Yes.
The guys put up with it.
Women are going to be ditzy, but it's these weak males that are actually the problem. And what I mean by that is you got the guy who will actually get into the relationship with a girl who's promiscuous and he knows she's promiscuous. You got the guy who will accept the girl who's overweight. I'm not saying don't give her the Jimmy Dean sausage. You hear me? I'm just saying don't let her hold on to it and keep it. And so the truth is we actually have to start enforcing punishment upon the weak guys. And I've seen something on the internet that I kind of like. Every now and then you'll see an Instagram girl and she's like super attractive. And then me, I'm thinking about like, yo, where's her at? Because I can legitimately slide her DMs and then smash her this weekend in real life.
Yeah.
These other
most guys don't realize
weirdos
that.
are like, what's her at?
What's
and
her
I'm,
at?
I'm like, why do you need her at?
What are you going to do with
Living in
this?
different worlds.
And here's the sick, sad thing. They're going to follow her and double tap all her photos like a psychopath. Right? So those guys need to be punished. And here's what's happening. There's some sick characters on the internet. They'll put, oh yeah, here's her at. It's at, Carla Jones. And then you click it and it's like something totally disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like, have you guys seen that before?
Yes.
Yeah. And I absolutely love it. But that's just the start of what we actually have to start doing.
I was going to say, so I just did an interview this morning with the guys who are in the next room over here, which is Rebel Entertainment, right? And they're doing a documentary right now on like simping, like the simpedemic, right? And it's
crazy.
So and
shit,
he did an
Yeah, I
interview.
did it too, yeah.
Yeah, we got with Miguel from Cultivate Crypto, and they're going to get with you guys as well later on. But so one of the questions was, well, what do we do about this? How do we correct this, course correct for the ship, right? And I'm like, well, there's a few things. One of course is well, how do we disincentivize men from doing this? That's one thing. The other thing is that we also have to find ways to disincentivize women from rewarding women with like OnlyFans, for example. They can make a living off of this stuff. If anybody had the will to do this, no one has the will to fucking do this. So this is pie in the sky kind of thinking here.
I'm listening.
But no one has the will to do this. We have to disincentivize the incentives that put women on OnlyFans to begin with. We need to disincentivize the reasons why women would want to go and advertise their sexual availability, even though they are unavailable. They're with a guy, and yet they're still selling their ass and showing their ass off. There has to be something, because these women don't have any reason not to do this, because they make a very good living
that announcement
off of doing this.
So everyone who's subscribing to leak their content for free.
The cure is
It's already on Reddit.
Right now.
You hear Kanye West talking about, I just be looking at them on Reddit. I don't really be going on the OnlyFans. I look on Reddit.
Your cure isn't let's repeal the 19th. You know what your cure is? Disincentivize all that fucking behavior. Take the reward. This is me being the behavioral psychologist. Take the reward away from the rat so that the pellet doesn't come out every time you put the lever down. That you're going to just get more and more likes. You're going to get more and more attention. You're going to get more and more. It's ego appeasement, and you make a good living off of this at the same time.
So Rolo, just out to your point, why do women do OnlyFans? Is it because they want to, or is it the money?
And
Independence.
They don't want to work.
I think it's the money, but I think it's the attention is a lot of it, and independence.
Yeah. So I asked some girls that were doing OnlyFans. I said, listen, I'm just curious.
First knows a bunch of them in Miami.
Yeah. If you could make this amount of money without doing OnlyFans, would you do it? Of course.
No, they're lazy and dumb. They're lazy and incompetent.
Hold on. So then I asked them, what would you do other than OnlyFans? You know what they say? Strip club. Webcam. So it's always easy work that's sex work.
Well,
which just goes to show if it's easy and they can make money, they will do it.
I don't think they're lazy. I don't think they're lazy and dumb. I'll tell you what. Like, not all of them. Like, clearly, there's a demographic there. Okay, but we have had women on the show. I've been on Saucecast as well, where we're interviewing women who were they were surgical nurses, which you got to go to a lot of school and put a lot of money.
Then they just started an OnlyFans,
and they're like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to do OnlyFans because, and they have sex with their husband on OnlyFans and make millions of dollars. And when that, by the way, this is the perception. I'm not saying every woman does this, but the perception for young women who go, well, why would I go to 8 years of college, take out all of these student loans to get a degree that might even be a useful, good, productive degree? And why would I even want to be a productive member of society when I can go show my asshole on Instagram or on OnlyFans and make more money than I would as a surgical nurse or as a PA or as a radiologist or whatever the fuck else it is? Why would I do that when I can make more money this way? Tell me what the incentive. We take the incentive away and all that goes away.
Like the majority of people who are watching this, the men, if you had the ability to do almost anything for $300,000 a month, you would do it. Yeah. Again, we'll go back to what I was saying before. What I was saying before, how would we act if we were constantly being offered sex by women, thousands of, how intolerable would we become? And then the same situation with women.
Hold on, no. Morals has to come into play here.
No, I agree with you.
Because, nigga, there's no one showing my butthole for that much money, bro. Give me $1 million, bro. I'm doing that shit. My black ass stay private, okay?
You and I aren't. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of guys out there that you would change your bay. What would you be willing to say for $10 million a year? Like, what would you be willing to say?
I'd say whatever the hell.
We're going long on the problem. Like this, it's feminine when you go long on the problem because that's just discussion. Men are builders, men are doers, men are action oriented. So the question is, why do we go long on the problem and short on the solution? We endlessly describe that women are delusional. Well, we know that. We describe women are neurotic. Well, this is scientifically proven. We describe that women are immoral. Okay. But then what do you tell the society of men to actually do? What is the prescription?
I think they have to lead the relationships, but
one thing for what you said is, yeah, people will behave in peculiar ways, average people, but every society is led by a minority.
Sure.
Our leadership class is lost. Our leadership class is weak. Our leadership class of men are not moral. That's the issue.
Yeah, no, not enough men lead. I think when you're in a relationship, you got to set the rules, let the girl know what you will and won't tolerate. People just put up with bullshit, you know? And like girls, they hate weak men. They'll test you. Even if they like you, they'll start testing you.
They'll even test strong men.
Yeah, no, back when I used they'll test me too. You just say, no, 100% I get tested. I've never had a girl not test me. But back when I used to sleep around, you know, I always like to figure out female psychology. Sometimes I find out a girl has a boyfriend. I would always ask, okay, why are you cheating?
You'd ask her, before or after the sex?
After.
Good man.
Good
My boy.
What was the reason?
I fucked him, then I get the answer.
This is when I really started waking up. I expected to hear like he's an asshole, it hits me. Every single time it was because he's too nice. Too nice. There you go. You got it. And he's weak. He does what I tell him. So I'm going to say I'd even test him. I'll ask him to do ridiculous things, and he does it. So now I need to fuck a guy that I can't boss around.
So I think this is the matrix I really try to use with people when I try to help them. Men, we get validation through sex or compliance that leads to sex. Women get their validation from attention, but attention that eventually leads to resources. Our resources are time or money or whatever. As men, when we give our attention to women for nothing, our attention is valueless. I'm leaving heart-eyed emojis. I'm paying for her OnlyFans. In those cases, when I'm doing those things, I'm giving her attention. And not only does she not have any value for me, she actually starts to resent me. You'll see that men who give women money on a repeated basis, I talk to them all the time, and they make fun of these guys to me constantly. Yeah. Women will make fun of their sugar daddies to me constantly. For women, so when a man gives his attention for nothing, he loses value. When a woman gives her sex for nothing, she loses value. And
she's supposed to, but
exactly right.
Supposed to
nowadays.
Yes. But in order for her to do that, so what men are doing now is they're confusing compliance and attention. They're receiving attention from women and they think it's compliance and they're responding with attention. For us as men to give sex costs us nothing. Sex is fun for us to give and we don't lose value to give it. So for women to give attention is also cost them nothing. Their attention is worthless. As a man, if I meet a woman and she's really attractive, I'm never going to compliment her because of her physical attractiveness. She's always going to do something. If I saw a woman and she was posting a picture, she's like, I just paid off my house, I would like that photo. I was like, congratulations, you paid off a house. Fucking congratulations. I saw a woman and she finished her master's degree, I'd be like, I would like that photo.
We have them on here.
Yeah, I have never liked a photo with a girl where she was in a bikini. Never. Because what am I doing? I'm giving my attention, losing my value in exchange for no compliance. I'm getting attention from her and her attention is worthless. if you just have guys go on that idea, like basically compliance is below the belly button and attention is above the belly button, then it's just much easier for them to make mistakes. She sent me news. That was with her thumbs. That's above the belly button. That's attention. She came to my house and made me dinner. That means she had to move her ass. That's compliance. I'll reinforce compliance. I will not reinforce or validate attention.
And it's amazing how you have to kind of explain it to guys like that, but it's important because so many guys are ill-equipped to deal with women and understand these things. And going back to, I hate to bring it back to the TradCon thing, but they don't arm you with this shit.
Yeah.
The Bible is not going to teach you the difference between attention and fucking compliance at all. And the thing that kills me is that if you don't know this stuff, you're going to get destroyed. And here's my thing, and this defeats the TradCon in 2 seconds. Basically, I say this. I tell guys to have these things in place, make their money, get in shape, have a prerequisite experience with women. You know, I say 50 girls, but if you get 30 and you feel like you're good, whatever. 20, whatever. My point is this. I want you to be in a position where a majority of women are A, going to respect you, and B, you'll be able to gain some compliance. And then C, I want you to go in to this relationship and this marriage that you might pursue with your eyes wide open. In no way am I telling guys, fuck 50 girls and stay a player for the rest of your life. No, I'm giving you the tool set so that you can choose
for yourself.
if you want to be married and have a family.
Myron's 50 girls is my vasectomy.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? It's just I just
50
want
girls,
guys,
I love it.
Because here's the thing. This is what kills me. A bunch of you motherfuckers watching this podcast right now need to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do you live the lifestyle you live right now because you chose to or because you had to? And most of you motherfuckers watching the show right now are living a lifestyle because you had to. Maybe you had pressure from your parents, marry that girl. Or maybe maybe you were broken, you couldn't get anything besides that fat Becky that you're with right now.
Or she chose for you.
Or she chose for you. You better put a ring on it or I'm leaving you. And that's the reality for most men. And a lot of you guys, I'm talking to you motherfuckers right now. You guys did not choose where you're at. You're where you're at because you were forced to be there. I'm giving guys the fucking tool set so they can choose to do what the fuck they want to do. You train for MMA, professional fighter. If you know you got a fight coming up in 6 months, you're training hard as fuck.
Oh, yeah. I'm not just going to walk in there without training.
Guys, right? When you get into a marriage with a girl, that's a fucking fight for your life.
Oh, 100%.
Because you can lose half your money. You
That's a
can
L.
lose your children. You can have to pay alimony. The stakes are crazy high. It's a pay-per-view fight, motherfucker.
That's
Literally pay-per-view for you if you lose.
There's literally nothing where stakes are higher and you know less.
Yes.
Right.
So my thing is, if professional fighters go into a fight and train like their life depends on it for a fight, you're telling me you're not going to train for the fight of your life with the woman that you're going to be with? Because it is a fight. A relationship is adversarial, like we said. It's a battle between the two genders to see who can have the leverage. And if the man doesn't have the leverage, it loses every single time. And a lot of you motherfuckers watching the show right now that found this content, you've found out that you no longer have leverage. That's why you're fucking here. So I'm giving you guys a tool set to get that leverage back. You got to make the choice of what you want to do. I'm not telling you to go out there and fuck a bunch of bitches. But what I am telling you is it might require you to fuck a bunch of bitches so that you can make the choice that you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, so the girl also has to know there's a chance that you'll leave her if she's misbehaving. If she's giving you attitude and she knows there's no chance you're going to leave her, she can just keep going. She can go cheat on you. She can run around. She can go get blacked
with
out.
A guy like cheat on a guy with a guy like you.
Exactly.
But
if he's not going to do anything, why wouldn't she?
Religion, what does it do? Do the right thing. Stick it out. She's treating you badly, doesn't respect you. You know what? Be a good person. Stick it out. My thing is, to your question for solution, why not have both? Have the wisdom of understanding the world that you live in right now, how women operate, how men operate, and choose for yourself what you want to do. Then add to that what your belief system is, which is maybe Christianity or Islam, whatever that may be, and have the foundation so you have both in tandem working together. Versus just having one is like, all right, be a good boy, do this.
Right.
But you don't understand what's happening on this side because you don't understand the real world.
Use red pill awareness and religion to put yourself in the best position, man.
And then choose for yourself.
Wow,
Guys,
Gee, it's almost like we're trying to equip you and educate you with the red pill. Gee, I wonder who said that before.
I want to say this too, because a lot of guys, let's be honest, a lot of guys hate the term red pill. Cool. You don't have to use it.
Yeah.
For us, when we're using it, for the purposes of this podcast, it's just the truth, man.
Yeah.
Well,
that's all we're saying.
This is what you're all talking about. Is I had an interesting Twitter exchange that kind of opened my eyes, where I said something like, "This is why you don't get married for statistical reasons." And this guy was a TradCon pill and and he says, you know, what? And I don't want to misquote him, but I said marriage should not be confrontational. It shouldn't be a fight. It shouldn't take effort. It should be easy and effortless. And he came in, you obviously don't understand how marriage works and you know, and this, and you'll find faith and support through God. And I'm, no. I'm not arguing. Think of this concept to give to the traditional conservative type of guys out there who want to try going. How about a marriage where there isn't any arguing because you lead and she knows to follow? How about you're a hardworking man, you establish the family, you establish the household, you provide for the family, nobody gives you guff, and not only does your wife not
pimp
question...
hand. You gotta have the pimp hand.
The
pimp hand can never be dispensed with. It must be there.
I get the
We are
pimp
going to
hand.
jail.
All I want to do is introduce the concept of a happy marriage. And in one of my books, I talk about the percentage of marriages that end up being happy. You know what percentage of marriages end up being happy?
For who? The male or the female?
Well, I guess it
can
would
they be happy
both.
at the same time? Is that possible?
Well, no, okay, but generally, and it's till how many marriages make it till death do them part, or one death makes them part? It's 14%. So, but you
way higher than I expected, though. I must concede.
But that's just till death do them. They could have been at each other's throats the entire time. Right?
Yeah. All right.
Most marriages are miserable. James Sexton would back that up at at half a second. Right? I am trying to, as is everybody at this table, trying to give traditional people the concept and the tools and the idea that if you follow these rules, if you're empirical about women's behavior, you're going to drastically increase your chances of having a happy marriage. Because I don't know nothing sounds worse to me than being in an unhappy marriage till death did somebody part. And if the idea that marriage should be hard and it's a struggle and you need Christ and through Christ, religion. No, I got a great secular idea. How about she loves you, does what you fucking say because she loves you. You have to also be a good man. You can't be some drug addict.
You gotta be a provider.
You gotta be a provider.
You gotta be a provider.
You gotta be
No
respect, you have to
50-50,
offer
bro.
something, yeah.
That we gotta put a burden of performance on the mental. You gotta be a provider.
You gotta deliver for your family, deliver for your wife. Holy shit, the idea of... How about you just are nice and sweet and stay... we laugh. How hard is it for a woman to be... to attract a guy? Sweet, thin, nice, sex at any time, don't nag, don't argue.
That's a winner.
That's
that's
a
a
winner.
winner.
So here's the issue. You're describing love through actions.
Okay.
I think when I think of love, my first thought is the men who stormed Normandy in 1944. They loved their country. They didn't need to wave any flags. They didn't need to post on social media. They went and took an action to defend their family, their country, and to some extent their religion. They went to go do that in France. With women, love is a feeling. It's a red hot, fiery, mushy, red hot, fiery, mushy feeling in here. And if I have enough of this red hot, fiery, mushy feeling, then I love you and you should do things for me. And I'm like, no, I sacrifice. I provide. Therefore, when I provide, that's an action. If you don't feel the validation for my provisioning, and you need to go find that validation, for my provisioning, exactly. It's like 1850s and Oregon Trail, my provisioning. But if you don't find the validation from that, and you need to find additional validation from the attention of other celebrities on social media, then that means that this isn't going to work, right? That's the sacrifice I made. When men, again, this is my buddy Wes Watson says this: love is a verb. We show love as men through our actions, through going downstairs with the shotgun when there's an intruder. That's how we show love for our society, by building buildings. We show our love by keeping the infrastructure going and by protecting our country. That's how we show love, through an action. With women, it's not to say it's not noble, but it just doesn't mean the same thing. It's an internal feeling they have in here, a red, mushy feeling, and then they think that's all that's important. No, I need you to respect me.
Right, that's
because
everything.
if you don't, because that's the thing. When you respect me, how do you show that? With an action. My girlfriend, a lot of times she'll have a dress on, and I'm like, yeah, dress looks hot, and I don't say it in the right way, and she needs to feel like I feel like it's some kind of way. But for me, I'm like for me, it's like, you came home, you showed me respect. Like, I don't really care how you felt about it. Like, honestly, you showed me you were here. It's like, for her, it's like I need to be with her and then feel some kind of way. But for me, it's like, you're sitting next to me and you just ordered food and we're eating food, watching TV. You're here. That's enough. You're physically here. For me, or for men, love is an action. For women, it's a feeling.
I was going to say, I would be remiss if I didn't throw this out there, because I think of the panel, I've been married I don't know anybody is even. I'm the only married guy.
And you're the
I'm
best
holding
person
out.
for the TradCons. Like, I don't think they know that you have a successful marriage.
27 and a half
you
years
tell
now.
people, like,
Yeah.
look, just because I did it doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody
and
else.
that's the thing, is like, when we were talking about you can't give people information without telling them how to feel about that information, because if you don't, they will hate you for that, and because they will insert their own meaning into it. Like, what he really means is this. Like, how can Rollo say these horrible things about marriage and still yet have 27 years of a successful, happy, wonderful marriage. And the reason is I'm not against marriage. I think it's a great institution. I wish everybody could have what I have. The problem is I have a problem with the way we do it now and how it is. We're still clinging to these 20th century ideals in the 21st century and trying to make that work.
The guys at Daily Wire that are married just like you,
Right.
actually married less than you.
Yes.
And they have, maybe their relationship is as good as yours, maybe better, who knows? But they would never admit, you know what, man? Look, I'm religious. It worked out for me. I'm Jewish. She was Jewish. We found each other because I graduated Harvard. I'm
because
well-spoken.
to do so is to deny their faith. That's why. To do so is because if they say
they're invested, so they can't take away their feelings and their emotional attachment to their marriage.
Look at Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder, when he first got married to the first girl that he put his dick in. They went to the same church. He was a writer at Fox News at that time, and he was writing about I did things the right way and da 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 da. And he was just self-righteous and pontificating the whole time. And I went back. I covered that show when I got divorced, and I went back through his backlog of stories. I found that one that he had done, and I'm like, yeah, well, I bet you're in the real school now, ain't you? Kind of thing. And so I'm covering this, and I go, wow, the difference between what his idealism was then and who he is right now, as a result of what has transpired from the moment he wrote that story to where he is at this point in his life. And I'm like, I'm not saying that's an indictment against marriage. I'm saying it's you not seeing it coming, right? It's you sort of glorifying yourself by putting together this really self-righteous narrative about yourself. Because if he were to say, I don't believe in marriage now, like people would say he's renounced his religion. He's turning his back on God. Same thing with we have I don't know if you know Tanner Guzzi, but he's an old school. You probably know Tanner. Mormon. He's been married twice. He has 6 kids and 1 more on the way. And he just announced that his wife is going to divorce him. He's got 7 kids. And what was his message? I still believe in marriage. I still believe in God. I still believe, because to say, you know what, maybe marriage isn't what I thought it was 6 kids ago.
Yeah.
Now,
it's changed.
But to say that, hey, maybe things aren't the way that I really figured them out. That's like saying there is no God.
Yeah, but the problem is their beliefs. Like you said, you asked Nellie, is like, what is it that a man can get outside of a marriage that he could get in a marriage, and she couldn't come up with anything. When you remember, it was the Y2K people. Mm-hmm. You guys aren't probably old enough to remember this, but when year 2000, you remember, year 2000 happened. There were these religious zealots saying that the world is going to end in the year 2000. But when the world didn't end, they didn't apologize. Yeah. They doubled down on their belief. It's the same situation. Mm-hmm. Your wife has left you. Clearly, your strategy was incorrect.
And the other thing, too, I want to say is, like, the exception doesn't make the rule. Like, Rolo is able to be self-aware and be like, okay, it worked for me. Awesome. But the way it is now, it's not going to work for most y'all. So be prepared. And here's the other thing, too, just so people don't know. We met Crowder. Great guy. Well-spoken. Smart.
I would love to meet Crowder. I admire him.
But here's the thing that I want the people to understand. Guys like 6'3", 6'4", well-spoken, obviously multimillionaire, successful, etc., famous, all that. Still got divorced. So if he got divorced and he did everything right, he did everything fucking right, religious, everything. Literally on paper, the best traditional guy ever. It didn't work for him. Nigga, what the fuck you think is gonna happen? You have 5 for 5, kind of going to Sundays school.
I want to remind.
Come on, man.
I want to remind everyone of this. Just consider this. Ready? Elon Musk, who is one of the smartest humans who has ever lived, put his dick in Amber Heard. Just always remember that. Always, whenever you're like, hey man, intelligence and she's smart and I'm smart, and let's match it. And like, I'm really smart. Remember, Elon Musk, the man is worth $400 billion. He put his dick in Amber Heard. It actually happened. You cannot tell me that this isn't real, bro. It is just such a great example.
You know what's really dangerous?
You brought up in the Bible, King Solomon.
Yeah.
The wisest man to ever live, known to man in the word. You know his downfall? A woman.
Yeah. Pussy.
He met a woman that was for the streets, brought into his kingdom. She led him astray and ruined his whole career as a king. Yeah. So you're right, bro. The smartest man, wisest man, what's his downfall? A woman.
It's no insulation against the blue pill. Go ahead.
Nothing.
3 quick points. So one with regards to Steven Crowder, one of the things that, and I hadn't really listened to him before the divorce, but one of the things that really made me respect him is because he was being recorded covertly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the way that he spoke to that woman while he was angry and being recorded covertly, he's a better man than I crying. Lord knows.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me how everyone looked at it like, oh my God, did you see how he spoke to her? Motherfucker!
Yeah.
That's how
long she
relationships
recorded
go.
them too, exactly.
That's
Everyone's
how they
been in a
go.
relationship, not yelled at a girl.
She's not going to show all the time. She probably slapped them up or said some shit about him, blah, blah, blah. Like, he said, I will fuck you up, but it was like, he meant from a legal perspective. Because she tried to say, I'm going to come after your reputation. She was like, oh, really? You're going to do that? I'm going to fuck you up legally. But of course they're going to cut that out. She cut the clip up, make him look crazy. I'm sorry, please.
So here's the dangerous thing. I bet my money that every one of us, maybe except Rolo and our economists here, but all of you animals would probably have been more stern and forceful in that moment. And so if a guy like Steven Crowder, who's fairly mild-mannered and soft with it, if they can take him down, they're going to come for all of us. And what we're looking at are levels of masculine expression. I felt like it wasn't very masculine at all. Wasn't very stern at all.
Calm, yeah.
And so they take the guy who's the softy and say he's toxic masculine.
How about Jonah Hill?
So then,
benchmark.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So
How about Jonah Hill? Jonah Hill says, if you want to hang out with people like this and that's the energy you want, I support you. You're a beautiful, incredible woman, but maybe this isn't for us. And they called him a misogynist when he said that. He goes, I support you.
And
then he gave her
pictures of her naked on Instagram, by the way.
Whatever it was.
Totally valid.
The concept of this, like for instance, if he had been fine with her with pictures in bikini, that's fine. But the thing is, he said he didn't like that. But forget what his preferences are. He gave her the option to leave.
Yeah, it doesn't
and
matter
then
what
he
you're
broke
asking.
up with her, no matter what happens. And then she brought this up when he had his child. Right after he has his child, he's like, "Hey, looks like I'm happy with another woman. Here we go.
Jealous.
Let me throw this in.
Yeah,
Let me throw this in."
yeah.
It's like people never care about that part. But the thing is, he tells her, he goes, "I love you and support you." And they called him a misogynist, and it was the craziest thing in the world. I was like, Jonah Hill. I mean, he made a bad decision, but he was not wrong. He was not wrong in anything he did.
We need him to lean into it and turn it up like 3 or 4 times.
That's
That's the era we're in, where it's like, oh, I'm toxic masculine, fantastic. Let me take off my shirt and just turn it up 30 times. I heard you said one thing I want to ask you and verify, because I don't know if you actually said this, but when I heard, I was like, that's an interesting idea. Initially, it sounded sus, but then I was like, that actually makes sense. Did you say that you would rather live with your buddies, like have a woman but live with your buddies kind of situation? You said that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Now that's
if I had the choice, if I had to live with personally, I'd rather live by myself. But if I had a choice of if I'm going to live with my girl or live with my guy friends, I'd rather live with my guy friends, 100%.
So I've been trying to buy some land, and no, really, I've been trying to.
See where this is going. I got the woman barn over here, where I put the women. They go in the barn.
It's like a kibbutz, man.
He goes over
Sorry, go ahead, please.
Admittedly, I've had, of the spectrum of men and of the spectrum of women, I feel like I've been very favored, and I've had fairly good relationships. I've been very selective, and I've dealt with women that are traditional enough that they don't want to be on camera. Traditional enough that when they watch my content and a girl comments, they're like, "Oh, why is that girl watching YouTube? Like men's issues? Like she needs to stick to women's stuff." I only go on YouTube to look up recipes, and that's their real life. Chicks from the Midwest, things like this. But still, despite having very decent women who are religious, women who are from the Midwest, women who are from the South,
Midwest is good.
They're still annoying. Right? They're still on a consistent basis, they will find a way to ask you a dumb question like, well, why do you have to talk about, can't your content just be about business? They'll find a way to ask something stupid or do something annoying or find a problem with something. I kid you not. I was in a high rise one time with this chick, beautiful woman. We're looking out at the most gorgeous view, right? And she says, "Oh, the window's dirty." I'm like, "You." But they always find that.
Bro.
And in as much as that's the case, I said to myself, what if marriage is a super scam and we only get married when we're going to procreate and lock down the woman so that we don't mix our paternal blood, meaning she has another dude's kids or another dude around our kids. And we limit the time that they actually get to be in our divine presence.
That's what
And I was like, I'm going to buy some fucking land. All the homies who want to put a place on this land is fantastic. And, you know, I'm going to have 3 women and you all get a limited amount of time. And they're like, well, what if I want to be with you more days?
So let me tell you where I kind of got this. Like, so like, because I noticed this too. Like, I was like, fuck, like women are kind of annoying. But I realized, like,
every last one of them.
If you're a masculine guy, like, women are naturally going to annoy you to a degree. Because if you're with a hyper feminine woman and you're a masculine guy, we're not the fucking same, dude.
Not at all.
We're very different interests, which is why we're attracted to each other. So I always knew, like, there's no way I could fucking live with a girl. But when I saw it in practice, and I was like, I was like, yeah, I could live with my buddies or live by myself. But where I saw it in practice and it worked was when I was at the Tate house. Andrew and Tristan don't live with any women. Girls come by or whatever, but they fucking leave after.
And you got to take your shit with you when you go.
And they
don't
leave.
be leaving stuff around here.
They're always leaving something.
Right? Like, you'll have girls over or whatever, but they leave. And I'm like, this is fantastic because you stay sharp because you're with your brother. You have that competitive edge. You have other guys there that are trying to, like, get their, you know, come up as well, make money. They fight, they train together, etc. You stay sharp, right? And then girls come and go, and it works because it shows pre-selection. They know other girls are there. They're going to see fucking girls' stuff there. They're going to know. They're going to see eyelashes, whatever. Yeah. So it gives her pre-selection, keeps you sharp. She can't be in your presence all the time, so she values that attention a lot
Has
more.
time to miss you.
Your masculinity stays on point. You don't become soft living with her, whatever. And, oh, man, I want to eat some buns, whatever. Like, some guys can pull it off. I know some guys that live with their girl, and they're fine, right? But you got to be high level. Like, guys like Sartain has female friends. I don't tell guys to have female friends, but some guys can pull it off. Rolo's been able to manage it. So some guys can do it effectively and it works. But for a majority of guys, you're going to be pussified when you live with your girl. Yeah. Sorry. So I think one of the best ways to stave it off is either live by yourself or live with other guys that are super sharp and just have girls come and go. It helps with your pre-selection anyway, keeps her distance, and she wants to be with you more when because what do they say? Distance makes the heart grow fonder.
It does. Yeah.
Hey, let me
especially if you're younger. This is great.
Let me clear out
if you're
these,
trying to come up.
super
That's
chats
100%.
Keeps you motivated, dude. Girls
like when I was
making
winning
you
world titles and shit, I would live with other fighters. We would just train. We had money from places, but I wouldn't be living with a girl because we needed to stay focused. You need that testosterone. That other guys trying to accomplish big shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like, women pussify you.
Yeah,
dude.
don't live with losers though, because you'll be sitting around playing video games. Make sure you're living with guys. Other guys trying to accomplish
my sales
shit.
team moved in next door, and we go train together. We do all kinds of stuff.
like
together.
a
Okay, so bam, so you got it in a way right
Yeah.
there. Okay,
Yeah.
because I know you're with your chick, but like you stay sharp.
Well,
'cause you
also
got
we
buddies
watch
there.
SEC football, throw footballs all the time, and we go to the gym all the time.
Like it's a
this.
dormitory.
We have a very different.
Let me clear these out real quick.
Yeah.
Sir, Mr. Jason, thanks for the $2. He says, "The Magnificent Seven, Godspeed, gentlemen. Thank you very much."
It's always a good time.
That was pretty cool. Rational Trucker says, Bible says, "Be ye sober-minded" means be rational, not emotionally driven. Just saying, I have faith is worthless when faith without works is dead. Great guests tonight. I really like the guy on Myron's right on whatever podcast.
You said something.
I agree. I liked you on Myron's podcast.
One of the things, and I quoted you on this when I used it. Like, you said something really great. You told the chick, "What would you do if you're not doing sex work?" And she said something about being a cocktail waitress.
Right.
And then you proceeded to say, "If you were in a man's body, you would live in fucking poverty." And I was like, holy shit, that is so goddamn true. How many of these girls that we know that make 10K, 20, 50K, 100K per month doing, the bullshit that they do, right? Whether it's, sex work, OnlyFans, cocktail waitresses. Some of them make a bunch of money. I know some chicks here in Vegas make like 300K, whatever. How many of them would be able to make that money
3K
if they were a fucking dude? None of them, bro.
None.
You have to have tangible skills as a man, period.
Yeah.
So when you said that shit, I was like, damn, that hits. Like, you would literally, if you were in a man's body, you would live in poverty. I was like, fuck yeah.
I got one left here. If Cappy would ever add another variable on the book of numbers being bashed on the "Are we dating the same guy?" Facebook group before even meeting, would that 0.000076238 chance of success per girl would plunge?
It would. I have estimates. One guy, top tier alpha, is taking about 4 or 5 off the market.
Yeah.
I estimate.
Yeah, for sure. I have one for masculine investor. You go, "Yo, Saint and Sinner and Myron should totally film a sparring match. My money is on Marquette." He's
a boxing a lot longer than me, man.
Siege D Got Promiscuity by Tim Burkhead. I guess that's a book.
I suggested that.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Yeah. Real Christian Men. He's talking about Glenn Lawrence and Andrew Wilson. Wants them on the show. Hold Up. Jake Shields fought your boy John Fitch.
Yeah.
what-
Oh, really? You fought John Fish?
fought Fitch?
Really?
Yeah, he's a good
oh,
fighter.
man. Yeah, he's part of
Fought a lot
Rule Zero.
fought a lot of big names.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Nice. TOF, to play the other side, how would you respond to the licking the ice cream argument that the traditional content creators have made in opposition to men spinning plates as a relationship strategy? Here's how I would respond to it. Women do not need experience to get better at dating. Men do need experience to get better at dating. What women can do, so I recommend for men, all guys have one super slut friend. Don't fuck her, but she's a fucking huge slut. And she shows you that she's like messaging 10 guys the same nude, and she thinks they're virgins, and she's got a sugar. Like, she just bears it all for you. Just a huge slut. Everybody needs just one big slut
No,
friend.
you need it to see what women are capable
for sure,
of.
for
You
sure,
need it. Because,
for sure.
so many guys are fucking, they're
clueless.
unaware.
Yeah. So women need a male nephew, brother, father figure, or if you have a guy friend who fucks a lot of women and just is cool being friends with you, to say, okay, I'm in a relationship with this guy. Can you look at this relationship from a third party perspective and say audit it? And then you go on his IG and it's like, okay, NFT, rented Lambo, felony conviction. I'm going to guess this is problem. But women don't do that because, again, red hot, fiery emotion in here. This is why so women don't need experience in order to get better at dating. When they get experience at dating, they just become bitter.
Yeah.
What they need instead is
lose their value too.
For sure. What they need instead is a male counterpart, or sometimes female, who has like grandma. Grandma, she's gone through menopause, and a lot of times, grandma really quick. Grandma can look at a granddaughter and say, "Oh, you're pregnant, baby." She knows. Grandma has experience, but grandma has experience, and she doesn't have all the hormones going through her anymore. So a lot of times, grandma can tell you, like some wise elderly figure, to look at and audit the situation, who understands male and female dynamics.
Grandma's always based.
Yeah, for sure.
Menopause.
For sure.
Wises them up.
Menopause makes you smarter. Can we get a fucking t-shirt? Menopause makes you smarter.
Real quick, we have some here. On Rumble.
Estrogen drops, IQ increases.
On Rumble, Silent Chaos says, "Damn, man, big fan of Jake Shields. Let's fucking go."
Yeah.
What does Jake Shields think of the red pill?
I mean, it's just red pill. I don't know the term that we're talking about, basically. I mean, I basically agree with everything we're saying. I see, like, you are arguing with what Brian, his name Brian, guy following Twitter, trying to do the Christ pill shit. It's like,
Chase.
Oh, yeah, Chase.
And Chase. I like that guy. It's nothing against him.
Yeah.
But it's just not realistic for most people. It's like,
no knock on
I'm
Chase,
sure
man. Be
no, I
religious.
like the guy. I'm sure we've both seen a lot of people that get married really young, right? Maybe 5-6 years later, the girl side, she wants to mess around. She could easily go meet guys, go fuck 10 guys if she wants. The guy doesn't know how to talk to girls. He's clueless. His wife's out messing around on him. He don't know what to do because he can't go pick up chicks.
Yep.
We've all seen that shit
He
happen.
can't even identify.
He got
it a lot of
soft.
times.
Yeah. And if he does know, he doesn't know how to pick up chicks. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to leave her because he's weak. He just goes, he's clueless. And it's you don't want to be that guy.
I need to respond to one more. Yo, Michael,
Yeah,
what
please.
are your thoughts on Fat Kid in Brazil? That's what we'll call him.
Oh, Lord.
Lights Out. Today in his video, he said he saw you in a Chipotle back in the day, and you pussied out when you saw him. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do.
Wait, what just happened?
Because this is obviously completely and totally absurd. I have seen this dude one time in my life and almost got him kicked out of Excess. The dude in Brazil. You guys know who I'm talking about. I have asked Spencer Cornelia to message him and say, I will debate him, but it's only going to be in fucking person. And he's the one who said he wouldn't do it. And I told Myron, I'll put up $10,000 and he can put up $100 and I will fight him fucking tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
If you want to do this. I'm serious right now. I have a feeling that if I took on this, obviously he needs to get a blood test before we do it because you see the stuff he does in Brazil there. But I will fight this dude because I think everyone in this community would cheer me on
Hell yeah,
for
bro.
beating the living crap out of this incredibly useless human being who suffers from antisocial personality disorder. But I didn't say his name, so we can't say anything about it. I'm not going to say his name because he didn't do the work to build a brand, so I'm not going to build his brand for him, but I will beat the crap out of him in any ring he chooses at any time, and I am 46 years old. I will do it any time he wants. So if he wants to say this, that's fine. But watch, I have put the gauntlet out. He will not respond. Okay, next one is
He saw you in Chipotle?
That's the part that messes me up. I'm not gonna lie.
I never.
What is this?
I never saw him Chipotle. I have no idea.
I have seen him in Denny's.
You've seen it, Dennis? Have you seen him in between 6 transsexual men? Because he did that also. There's a video of that.
I stay
an
away
actual
from those
video
channels.
of that. Okay,
I don't know who you're talking
which is better for a car loan, through bank, BOA, or credit union Cap One? That's an interesting question.
Honestly, bro, credit union. To get the
Credit
best
union.
I'm
rates.
asking that because Fresh is
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Depends
Yeah.
on the interest rate.
Okay, awesome, very cool. All right, cool. That
I
was,
got one more. Sorry, 2 more.
Yeah.
Reggie says, "Oh shit, gang." Thanks, bro. $1. Let's go. 5,000 says, "Saint, Myron's in town all week. Can y'all film an exhibition match? I bet money he give you the business.
That Myron gives me the business.
Apparently.
You know what I find strange is like why can you respect?
We if we would spar, we'd be off camera because we'd be like, he's my nigga, man. Like,
and it's like, why do you respect?
Don't do that shit for people. Fuck them. You guys are friends. Fuck that.
You know what it is?
That's
only if you don't like someone.
stuff.
Yeah, don't do that
realize
bullshit. If you spar, do it off camera.
Want to divide us?
Yo, so hard, bro.
So hard, bro.
Nah.
It's
If
just
someone
crazy.
touches Marquette, I'm punching him. Like, I
love-
fight him. I'll fight for him.
I love
Like,
how
what the fuck,
Marquette.
man?
I love how
That's
Marquette
actually
like
really friends.
how he's like starts his point. He's like, you know, let me tell you. It's like he's this college dissertation.
It's like they're trying
I
to
find
start
it
shit, bro.
disturbing that you find two people you respect and admire and say, I want you to beat each other up. When there's so many psychopaths that we need to knock out first. Right? It's like there's a whole line of people,
Get in
some
line.
fat guy in Chipotle. I mean, there's a whole line of people, and you want to see guys you respect beat each other
Like
up.
I'll be hanging out with like Nick or Nate Diaz or something. Like, who wins between you in a fight? It's like, go fuck yourself. You know?
Right?
Why are you gonna
Yeah.
fucking? We train together all the time. Why are you gonna fucking ask a question like that?
Stupid.
Just looking to get smacked. You know.
And
I think
Marquette's
Nick
been
Diaz
training
went off on
a
a
lot
reporter
longer
one
than
time
me.
for
I would
asking
learn
that.
something from
Right.
him. It would be a great experience.
Yeah.
But why would we record that? Like, that's weird. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no one's
Like,
fucking business. You guys
you know what I
fight.
mean?
You fight privately with your friends. You know?
In
bro.
the interest of full disclosure, it was Marquette that said, "I'm going to debate Rollo Tomasi. You better show up." I'm like, all
Debate, right,
all
right.
You know
yeah.
I'm coming.
And it honestly, it hurts me because it's like there are things you guys teach and there are things that I teach, and I do believe there's a such thing as good people, and I do believe there is such thing as wicked people, and good people have to stay together because there's not a ton of us,
No, there ain't.
and we do have a fight to put up. And when I see people saying things like that, I'm like, you're not learning from us. That like that's a wicked instinct, and that's often what we're dealing with when we're dealing with women today. Like, for example, when you're saying women have more experience with dating, when I'm thinking about what I think you mean is they have more experience with manipulation. Like they're it's instinct. So we have to learn how to deal with manipulation. We have to get trained on that, whereas they do that as smoothly as blinking and breathing because it's instinct. And so it's like when we have to deal with all this wickedness, we have to deal with managing our women, and then we have to deal with the society that we're in, the government that's trying to take our freedom. It's like, why would you think of having us fight each other? It like hurts me because it's like, damn, don't you have respect for me or for Myron? Like, say if he could beat the snot out of me, why would you want to see that? Or if I could beat the snot out of him, like, why would you want to see that?
What y'all should be looking at is like, yo, if somebody touches one, like they're gonna fight together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's what it is. I've known you now for what, 3 years now? Like almost.
Time?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I
And we
respect
were
Marquette
early on.
enormously. So if we were to, number one, he's more experienced in boxing than me, and I would learn from him, and it would be a great experience. So like, I'm humble enough to say that. But like, that's weird when people say that shit. It's strange.
It
and
saddens
as a
me.
professional fighter, that's something that
I've
you
had
never
guys-
ask somebody,
I've had
right?
guys try to
Like,
educate with my friends. They ask us like, who wins? It's like, go fuck yourself. We train
Yeah.
together. That's between us. That ain't between anyone else. You know, what do you want me to do? Talk shit to my friend or him talk shit on me? That's just so disrespectful.
And it's not basketball, right? Like, you
No,
don't
yeah.
play fighting,
Exactly.
right?
It's like serious
Yeah.
for training. So dudes be like, who wins between you? It's like, go fuck yourself. You're literally trying to instigate us. Like, that's private sessions where we go and beat the fuck out of each other. It's
just
no one's
coming from a
fucking business.
professional fighter that beat the shit out of you for saying that. So there you go.
Yeah,
That's the
no, I
etiquette.
think people maybe they just don't realize how disrespectful it is when guys say that.
Yeah.
I know Nick Diaz went off on a reporter once because they asked him like, "Oh, well, who would win between you and your brother?" And instead of getting answered, he goes, "Go fuck yourself." Like what? You know, walked out of the interview, which is what he should have done.
Right.
Like trying to instigate a fight between him and his brother.
You know, there was a time I would have disagreed with you about wicked people, but 2023 has taught me different. Absolutely
out there, huh?
taught me different,
Yeah.
man. People always say, it was Ryan Stone told me this. He said, you know what? He says, you're red pill about women, but you are not red pill about guys. And I go, yeah, you were right. I learned how to
your
be more
audience.
red pill about men.
Hate your audience a little bit.
Yeah, hate your audience.
And you gave me some great advice perspective on certain persons in the space that was very straightforward, honest, and accurate. And you said it before it happened. Then it happened. I was like, you warned about that, and I appreciate that. And I don't want to make the person who sent in their super chat feel bad, but I do want men to think before they speak. Like it's our responsibility as
Critical
men.
thinking. Yep.
Before we speak, because we won't be forgiven like women and children. Like I've seen situations where like a guy bumps into a guy, that could end up being the end of your life because people are not all well upstairs. But if a woman bumps into the same person, it's just like, and she just carries on with life. A kid bumps into, they just carry on with life. Like men, we really need to be thinking out here. It's a serious world. I encourage men to be a serious man. That's your primary mode of being. We need to be more militant and more thoughtful, not behaving like children and women. And they said that in The Godfather too, didn't they? they?
Yes.
These boys need to pay attention.
Yes, they. What was it? You know, women. I can't do the accent. Like women and children can be irresponsible. Men cannot be responsible.
That's right.
Yeah, they can't make mistakes. I think that's what. It was.
Guys, this has been a W stream.
This has been
Super Bowl
great.
weekend.
Yes.
We have some parties to attend to and events.
Oh, well, real quick, guys! If you guys
yeah.
want to support our charity, it's Hounds for Heroes.
Yes.
Michael Irvin is the spokesperson for it, and they're training dogs, service dogs for disabled veterans. That's the charity that we're doing tonight. Obviously, there's 400 girls coming to this as well, but that's going to be at Sahara tonight. You guys can still buy tickets for that if you want to. Go to babesandtoiletlandcharity.com, and then we are going to be doing an animal rescue charity March 8th. In Los Angeles, if you guys are interested
You know
in that.
how I am
Just
about
hit
my
me up.
dogs. So.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in
animals.
either one of those, you guys make sure you come out to that.
I want to do a shout out real quick to Giovanni Sanders. He's the guy that does our music, and he's been doing it for. I use it as my outro music. We use it our intro music here. We constantly use it over and over. Now Giovanni just got a record deal. Nice. So I was like, I want to congratulate him on his record deal. But he is in Las Vegas. He is doing a talent showcase right now, and will be with us. I'll introduce you guys to him because he's gonna. As soon as he's done with his showcase, he's gonna come over to Babes in Toyland. But big ups to him because he gives me faith for, he renews my faith in humanity because he's like 28 years old. He busts his ass. He grinds and he sings, plays guitar, plays bass, plays the drums, does everything. Anything you hear, that's him doing that shit. Oh, so he's a multi-talent. He's I hate to call him a kid because he's a grown ass man, sure. but he from the time he started doing this, I've been sort of helping him along and just been investing in his career. But just a shout out to Giovanni, and then also I never do this, and I feel like I have to do this. Is like I want to give a big shout out to Sam Bada because Sam Bada is in every single one of these shows, and he is the mod, and he makes sure I get the super chats, and he's just on top of his game. And he is the audio book reader of the first 3 books, and so I just want to give a
Listen
big
to the Rational Mail.
props to Sam Bada. Thank you very much. I love you like a brother.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, guys, check us out on Fresh and Fit, man.
Check us out.
And then we're gonna have Jake in Miami. I know you guys want that interview. It's gonna definitely come. We're gonna talk about a bunch of different things. Some might not be safe for YouTube. If you guys watch our Twitter, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. But yeah, it's gonna be lit.
I want to see Jake
in March
with some girls.
What
actually.
games?
Yes, we're gonna have Jake
too?
with some chicks too. 100%.
What games are you guys streaming? What game are you streaming?
Oh, Overwatch 2.
Okay, cool.
We
I want to jump in there. Let's do
okay.
that. I'm telling you, when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, I told it it's going to destroy my business. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 30 people lobbies, and that's how we have my group calls. It's going to just be like group calls. Where we're doing bank robberies together, and that's how we're going to. That's how we're going to
Bonding with the bros, man.
Yeah,
It's funny. And then next shows for us is going to be the 15th and the 22nd.
the 15th and 22nd. We'll have more girls
Access
in here.
Vegas.
And spread more information.
I think I'll be out that March 9th, I think is the
Yeah.
UFC. So I'll be out there
March
4 or
8th,
5
March
days.
9th,
I'll be
guys.
through that time period, yes.
We'll get that interview locked in.
No.
You guys will be able to get to know
We'll look at
Jake
schedule, we'll get
one-on-one.
a
Not
date, yeah.
March 8th.
Yeah, March 9th. Around that time.
I'll be there for a few days.
We got somebody coming.
He's gonna be there. Yeah, he's gonna be there for a few days. So we'll lock it in.
I'll look at your
Marquette,
schedule.
tell us about the Saint Center. Please.
Well, thank you very much,
Yes,
bro. I
why don't you
appreciate
Thanks
that.
for coming, bro.
Jump that
Like,
in, man.
thanks for coming on.
No,
the
thank
show.
you guys
And
for
last minute.
Yeah, for having me and
Thank you
giving
so
me
much for
some
coming,
airtime. The Saint in the Center on YouTube, Marquette Devon on Instagram. I talk about business and entrepreneurship, talk about women, and we do a lot of cool stuff. Actually, in 2 weeks, we actually got a trip in taking a bunch of guys to Vietnam, 30 guys. So we do crazy stuff.
You're a very worldly guy. I want everyone to go check out your geopolitical content as well.
Thank you.
Really, really, really underrated good stuff. Matter of fact, the Tucker interview, I'm going to watch it actually.
Me too.
You know what's funny? I guarantee you he's going to say a lot of the things that you had talked about when the war first broke out. Because there's a select few guys that kind of know what the fuck is really going on with the Ukraine and Russia conflict. Like, it's just the rest of America is going to wake up to it. But yeah, man, great geopolitical stuff,
Thank you.
man. I wish you kept it on your YouTube up more, man.
Yeah.
People need to see that side. Because they think you're just a pimp. But it's like, no, man, you worthy guy, you're traveling, talking about.
They think you're just a pimp.
Businessman.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Businessman.
That's what he said. He said a pimp. That's what he said.
Cappy.
Let's check him out, guys. He's a good friend of mine.
What?
What can I find you, brother?
What are you gonna do?
Asshole.
Assholeconsulting.com. You got questions, answers. I'll kick you in your ass and tell you you're fat and need to lose weight. Then
Help me with Why Women Deserve Less. You guys like that book? You better fucking like Aaron Clary.
It's got a
Go get
great
his
cover,
books.
too.
Yes. Which Rolo did.
And then I have other books out there. I guess most germane to this would be the Book of Numbers.
Yeah,
Analyzing our
go
lives.
check it out. He literally
10
broke
books
down
out there.
Yes.
And yeah, a bunch of books. Me and Aaron probably work on another book together. We've been talking about it. But you guys are going to see some work coming out very soon.
And
And we need to bring you back too. You don't want to come to Miami, bro.
You live
I'll go with you.
so far away over there, man. Why don't you come to South Dakota, man?
There's nothing there.
I'm there.
There's no benches.
You've been to my
I would disagree.
I enjoyed myself.
Yeah,
I quite
fun.
enjoyed
I would
myself.
disagree. There might be some.
Of course, I fish,
Freakiest
so.
women on
Don't you
earth.
guys
You'll be surprised when you find them
Scandinavian.
sometimes.
Hey,
You'll probably never see a black guy.
Shout out to Caitlin Runk.
You two could be the.
We won't fit in, man.
No, that would be
That's-
great.
it's good to stick
You'd
out.
make front page news. 2 black guys. South Dakota. Wow, front page.
I'm too dark, man.
Bro, his black ass, they're going to think something's going on.
Come here, boy.
They were in the Union, not the Confederacy.
Big thanks to George Carmelino, who is our producer today. Thank you for doing
Thank you, bro.
a stellar job. Much
Guys, like to
appreciated.
subscribe to all the channels,
Yes.
man. If you're
Yep.
watching shit on Fresh and Fit, go subscribe to Say in the Center. Go check out Jake Shields on X. Go check out Michael Sortain, Lolo Tomasi, The Rational Male, and
Access
Aaron
Vegas.
Vegas. Go
Yes.
subscribe to all of them right now, motherfuckers.
Now
They're
let's
our
go
buddies.
see some titties.
Yes. Let's go. Woo!